If you're a meth head, let us know.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, October 7th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1075.
This is No Agenda.
Retracting my vote because Soros told me to. And broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the studio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I now have my Costco Blue Card, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Now, I have become a member of Costco recently.
Yeah.
What is this Blue Card? Is this a club within the club?
No, I found it in a drawer. This is the Costco Blue Card is the card before they merged with Price Club.
Is it still valid, or do they stop you at the entrance?
Well, it doesn't have a magnetic strip or anything, and this is the number. I guess you're supposed to, well, you had to describe it. There's a number that's scribbled on it that I guess they're supposed to punch in. Uh-huh. And then there's a picture of me, which is an actual photo. Looks like it was taken with a Polaroid, and then scotch taped to the back of the card.
Nice.
So I mean, and it's just really like apparently very early days. And it says Costco Wholesale Gold Card Membership, and it's a blue card.
Nice.
Some gold stripes on it.
So you're going to go try it out? You're going to try it out later?
Item.
You're going to try it out later? You're going to take it in and.
I'll take it out. Well, I don't think they'll accept it. Well, maybe they will, but I'm going to flash it to see if they let me in.
Hey, flashing this at you. Nice.
It says Costco, man. It says Costco. Can you read? And actually, I have somewhere in another drawer one of the original Costco Price Club cards where it says Costco. It's more like the modern card. It says Costco Price Club. When they merged, they left the Price Club name on there.
I think you should go to Costco after the show and just loiter outside, flashing your cards at everybody. Let's see if you get any friends.
Well, I'm just pointing this out because this is one of the benefits of being an archivist.
Yes, it's another collectible in the archive of John C. Dvorak, where the C stands for collecting shit, and lots of it. Well, let's see. It didn't happen the way I thought it would. I'm very disappointed in my futuristic vision.
Well, I came closer by predicting that Murkowski would be the no vote, but then she reneged.
Yeah, with that, I'm present. There were two reneges. She said I'm present. Then there was the Republican who was at his daughter's wedding because there's nothing more important than being at your daughter's wedding, of course. And because
Well, she made a comment about this. She said she voted present to balance his vote.
No. That was not Murkowski.
Yeah.
That was Murkowski who then withdrew her vote?
Murkowski said that if he was here, he would have voted yes.
Right. Okay.
And she would have voted no, and it
would have canceled each other out.
It would have canceled each other out. So I am voting present. I'm not going to make a vote.
You see, but that's not entirely true because votes are not binary. You have an abstention option.
Well, whether that's true or not, she said, and I think she's right, it wouldn't make any difference in the totals, the fact that he would pass, which is what her point was. And so she felt obliged to be a good Republican and balance his vote. Yeah. I thought it was like a way of getting out of it.
Of course it was.
Of course, Republican.
Of course it was.
It was a good one. It was a good trick.
Yeah. Well, I'm not happy he's in.
Yeah, I know you don't like the guy.
No, I mean, throughout this entire process, I've learned a lot about this guy that I really don't like. And a lot of unconstitutional opinions and decisions, certainly when it comes to the Patriot Act.
A Patriot Act kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a Yale Bush Patriot Act kind of guy. Not liking
that.
But, depending on what happens, they still might go after him, still might try to get him out.
No, they won't.
They're talking about impeachment right away. It's impeachable. Oh yeah. Oh, they're gonna crank that up.
No, they're not. Not. They got 1 month to crank it up, then it's over because then the elections are done. They don't have time for this.
Then we won't hear about it anymore. Of course not. course not.
But so we have the classic example is I think I have the Schumer clip here. Where is this? Schumer went on and on about why this is a Kavanaugh-Schumer rap. Schumer goes on and on and on. He goes, one thing very well structured, and then he's no good because of this, and then he's no good because of that. But when he gets to the end of his little spiel, to wrap things for the Democrats,
this is before the vote, right? His last little spiel before the vote.
Last gasp.
Yeah.
They were intent on shrouding the truth because they knew that if the truth came to light, Judge Kavanaugh would be exposed as a truly flawed nominee. So, my colleagues, my fellow Americans, what is the appropriate response? Our country needs to have a reckoning on these issues, and there is only one remedy. Change must come from where change in America always begins, the ballot box. So to Americans, the so many millions who are outraged by what happened here, there's one answer: vote. If you believe Dr. Ford and other brave women who came forward.
Yeah, he's channeling Obama with this.
And you want to vindicate their sacrifice, vote. If you believe the Supreme Court should uphold women's rights, vote. If you believe the Supreme Court must protect health care and our pre-existing conditions that are protected now, vote.
Does anyone in Senate or in the House of Representatives believe that this type of speech actually works?
Well, I was going to ask you, it's funny you say that, because I was going to ask after he's done with this vote. Does he think, worse than that, or more, I think more poignant than that, does he think anyone's actually listening to this?
Well, that was the next point I was going to make.
It was like, there's like 6,000 viewers of C-SPAN at any one time. I'm one of them.
And the thing that bothers me is you have this, must have been 4 or 5 hours of, pontificating and speeches. Everyone's already set. They know what they're going to vote. They've got that in their heads. I don't think there's any last minute, I'm going to switch this. No, so it's all for the public's benefit, and you get this vote. Do something exciting, something to really fire us up. And most of the action was, and I haven't heard this in a long time. Every time there was they called someone's name for a vote, and the people in the gallery would start freaking out. That's uncommon for the Senate.
Yeah, I put together a little series of some of them when they started to vote. I don't have too much. I only have like 3 or 4 put together. There's miscellaneous screaming. Because I put it. Oh, sorry. Wait, I put it together to try to hear what they were saying.
Yeah, that was the downer of their. Of what they were doing is, the voices were so just weren't being picked up properly, so you really couldn't understand what they were saying. Although I think at one point I heard someone say "shame." We all know that one. Shame.
Oh, the shame.
Shame.
Well, what I got was because I got this from the first screamer that's in that little group, and she was the first one to be thrown out. This was before the vote started. And there were some screamers at the Susan Collins speech, but that was the day before. But this day, this woman was thrown out. And what she was yelling was, "Where's my representation?" You could hear her saying it.
Let me hear it. Oh, hold on. Let me just put it in a second. Yeah, I could hear it now. Where's my representation? Yeah.
And this connected to there was a flurry of women coming forward and screaming into a megaphone about their experiences that were all negative,
right,
with men. And one went on and on about this. Easy to forget what was going on because I got raped, a few weeks ago, and I can't remember it. And it went on and on. Or no, actually, none of them were actually. The women that I heard never got raped. They all got assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, mind you, neither did Dr. Ford. She claims assault, not rape.
A lot of assaults. And in there, along with these women were these was one I didn't clip it because these women are just screaming is kind of boring and it sounds not good. But she was going on and on about representation, which I connected to this other one, maybe the same woman, and she said that we have hundreds of millions of people in this country and only 100 senators, and they're really going after the idea of our republic.
Oh, let me tell you, I forgot to mention when I went dragging through Lake Austin with the former New York banker. We also talked about that, and he's all in on this. Yeah, this is crazy. Why does Wyoming have 2 senators? Like, are you kidding me?
Yes, this is exactly what they're saying.
And I said, that's so the mob doesn't rule, so California doesn't tell us what to do, or they gang up with New York. And no, he said, well, that's just dates back to racist times with slaves. I'm like, wow.
There were no what racist times with slaves in Wyoming?
No, about the 3/5 of a human being for a vote.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It's totally unrelated.
I know, but that's what came out of his mouth.
Wow.
Yes.
So they're making inroads.
It's creeping very close to me now. I got to be careful. Before you know it, like an unfortunate boating accident.
Well, I had this situation a couple of days ago. Somebody, because I went to this event and somehow my phone number got out to this guy, some major kind of a Republican character. And he calls me up and he starts to moan about stuff. He's talking about the No Agenda show and how important it is that we do deconstruction because nobody does it. And then he starts talking about the Republicans. And he starts talking about himself. He talks about how they lost the state of California. And I'm kind of in between things, so I could listen for a while until I had to actually hang up on the guy. But he made the comment, he says, well, I've got to reconsider, because I could have been doing more, but with my white privilege.
He just threw it out. With my white privilege, I can't do as much? Is that what he was saying?
I don't know what he was saying, but as soon as he said it, I jumped all over him. I said, well, explain this white privilege to me. What is your white privilege? What, is this just give you to get free food? You get what are you getting money? What is it? What's the benefit of it? And to explain more, and he couldn't do it. And it was just like somehow this meme got in California is very it's all over the place. But the fact that you get suckered into these things, like your banker friend, and the idea that there's no representation because there's this Senate that gives 2 senators to Wyoming and 2 to California when it's unfair.
Yep.
Well, you got tons of representatives. That's normal. And in fact, in the olden days, we should mention this, the senators, because this began because the states were freaked out about this, this centralized government. They didn't like the idea. We're supposed to be a republic, not a one, centralized operation with government police and all the rest of it. In the olden days, this was broken down by the Democrats. In the olden days, before I don't know the year that this changed, but it's one of the amendments of the Constitution. They changed the way of selecting the senators. The senators used to be picked by the state legislature.
Right. We've talked about this.
And so your state legislator would pick the 2 senators, and which I don't think would make much of a difference in today's climate. In California, it'd be the same 2 people. And they sent them to Washington, and people were bitching, well, this is not fair because the public needs to vote. And so they said, that was the old cigar-filled room.
Right. But
it's just a bunch of...
But bring it back to the white privilege part.
Yeah. What? Well, that would be part of white privilege, I guess, because the legislators would be run by white guys.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Kind of this attitude is Harrison Bergeron from the Kurt Vonnegut science fiction short. Harrison Bergeron. There's a you can find it on YouTube. There's a little movie was made of it, and this is the family who's at home, and the dad is really strong, so he has to be equalized with the rest of humanity. So he has to wear chains when he goes to work.
Yeah, I remember this story.
It's a very, very, and especially the YouTube video. I'll put it in the show notes because it's a good little short, science fiction thing. But man, it's coming close to reality. It's like, well, I have white privilege, so I need to have some kind of handicap to even it all out.
Yeah, well, maybe a gunshot wound would help.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the protests, and I apologize, I thought I had a clip of some of these protesters chanting in the hallways. And what I found interesting is everywhere on the social nets, the Sosh Nets, I pretty much really only monitor the Twitter. People are like, they're paid by Soros, paid by Soros. I'm like, forget that. Just look at these people. They're literally, there are leaders. They have the bandana around their arm. They're holding their hand up in the air like a tour guide. Like, you might as well have the little umbrella with the fuzzy thing on the top.
Yeah, or the long stick.
This goes beyond people being paid or not. These people are pre-trained. They listen to whatever the group leader says they have to do. They're standing there repeating their instructions. They're not repeating a slogan. No,
they are sometimes repeaing a slogan.
Yeah, but in general, I saw a lot of these clips of people saying, "I will go to my representative's office. I will go stand in the hallway. I will go stand in the hallway." Yes, this is organized protest and completely ineffective. But it's the idea of Soros is seeping pretty deep. If you go back to the Jeff Flake elevator confrontation, apparently this woman works for some nonprofit that is Soros funded, and she makes $1 million a year. Fine, whatever. But it is seeping into people's minds. Here's the money, honey.
On here, Senator. I mean,
with Grassley.
You've had people thrown out of restaurants. You've had people shamed and criticized online, and obviously protesters in your face. First off, do you believe George Soros is behind all of this, paying these people to get you and your colleagues in elevators or wherever they can get in your face?
I have heard so many people believe that. I tend to believe it. I believe it fits in his attack mode that he has and how he uses his billions and billions of resources. I think it promotes incivility in American society, but I also think that the resistance that's been in existence since November 2016 is headquartered here on Capitol Hill. When you have congresswomen say that you get in the face of anybody that's in the cabinet, we have senators say, get in the face.
So even Grassley's starting to, that damn Soros, which of course ignites an entire, you're not just old white men, you're anti-Semites. That's what you are. You hate the Jews. We're spiraling very, very fast.
Maria Bartiromo is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations.
Of course she is. She's the money honey. She's a member of it. She can go wherever she wants. She walks on water.
So I do have a couple of ISOs that I want to get out of the way.
Okay.
You said the chanting and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I realize that I have one good one and the rest of them are crap. But I have two different boos.
Yeah, all right.
I'm going to try.
Not bad. Next one.
That's a good
one. Okay, yeah. They're all right.
Well, the first one I think is better because it's a little shorter.
Shorter, yes.
But then the one that's the best is We Believe You.
We believe you. We believe you. We believe you. We believe you.
Nice and rhythmic, too. Good.
Yeah.
Perfect. The most disappointing outfit during this whole saga has got to be the American Civil Liberties Union, who I supported for many years, and was it maybe a year and a half ago?
Yeah, when they tried to scam you.
Yeah, I was just calling up and saying, Trump's going to kill you. I said, this is not what you do. This is not what the ACLU does. Stop organizing protests. That's not what you're supposed to do. I really like the original mission of the ACLU. And then they came out with this ad. This is before the vote, with some interesting, tying Kavanaugh into an interesting group. Let's see. Why is it not playing? Here we go.
We've seen this before. Denials from powerful men.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I've never seen anything like this.
I categorically and unequivocally deny the allegation against me by Dr. Ford.
America is watching. And as we choose a lifetime seat on our highest court, integrity matters, and we cannot have any doubt. Senator Gardner opposed the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh.
Now, for those of you who didn't get the voices, the first one was Bill Clinton, the second one was Bill Cosby, and then Judge Kavanaugh. Don't like the guy, but that's pretty low. That's low. I mean, Cosby, actual convicted felon of of said crimes. That's real. That's just low.
Yeah, of course it is.
ACLU has been. When did that happen? That hijack. That might.
Some new management. It's always management.
Oh, we'll have to go back and look at when new management came in.
Yeah, new management. It's like that woman I bitched about this woman before I didn't get any clips of her, but she was Bedos or whatever her name is that took over The Economist.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense then.
So she was finally, she was doing an interview on the stage with Steve Bannon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on YouTube. It's very interesting because she's just a globalist from the get-go and immediately starts calling him a racist. And they had Hungary's a racist and the Polish prime ministers are racist. She just goes on and on. She's gone nuts.
Yeah.
And same thing, management. So the next thing you know, The Economist is just a tool of the globalist agenda.
Right. Sarah Silverman also weighed in. She hasn't gotten the memo yet that sophisticated Hollywood no longer says F Trump. That was unsophisticated Hollywood. Most of Hollywood is not on board with that. They saw it didn't work what Robert De Niro did, but that's all she has, I guess.
Well, our president threw another party for himself, another rally full of laughs and cheering, all at the expense of a woman who shared her story of sexual assault. Trigger warning on this video for anybody out there who is human.
How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember.
F*** you. You know what? He's not even worth it. He is a void. He's unwell. He's building an incredible case for an insanity plea. So let me direct this to the one group of people who are actually going to make this decision. Senators, please believe me when I say this is no longer a job interview. This is a line in the sand, and you have to pick a side. And the side is no longer Republican or Democrat. Your vote is a statement, and that statement is either hell no, this is not okay, this is not who we are, or it's telling every woman, every girl, every boy, every person that what happens to women's bodies does not matter, that women's truths don't matter, that you get yourself sexually assaulted, and if you have the nerve to come forward with it, it is a mistake, and the president of the United States will mock you for it, will laugh at you. Senators, I know that you're scared, and I'm asking you to be brave, to be as brave as the woman who came forward at the peril of her entire life, because years from now, you're going to be asked if you were at the party. And guess what? This is the party. All right, I gotta go. Sorry this wasn't funny. I should smile more. All right, be brave, be best. I'll be right back.
The funny thing about her is that her material itself belies that entire speech.
Exactly.
It's extremely rude.
Sexist.
It's very sexual, sexist. And then she comes out like this. I'm reminded of the early era of the MP3 when some of the richest rap groups, hip hop artists, were doing some of the rudest anti-police, promoting thievery, promoting beating women up.
Damn those rappers!
Let me make my point.
I know.
All the stuff that they were doing was all negative, societally negative. And then they came out, oh, my God, people are stealing our music with MP3s. They've got to stop stealing our music. I mean, come on, make your minds up. What side are you on here?
Well, let's look at the rest of Hollywood. A lot of it on Twitter. Kathy Griffin has not gotten the memo. This is all about Senator Collins. Fuck you. Lots of K's, lots of O's and U's. George Takei from Star Trek. As a Buddhist, it is my practice to have compassion for all people. But Senator Collins is really testing my limits right now. Rob Reiner, let's see. Susan Collins turns her back on women who have been traumatized by sexual assault. Elections have consequences. Vote.
Well, let's listen to the beginning. I don't have the whole thing. I don't want the whole thing went too long. It was a very good speech that she gave the day before the vote. Susan Collins came out, and some of the irksome aspects of this whole thing were outlined by her, I think, very succinctly. And if these idiots can't figure out that there was maybe something more going on here, and Susan Collins doesn't have to kowtow to the demands of a bunch of hysteric liberals.
Yes.
Mr. President, the 5 previous times that I've come to the floor to explain my vote on the nomination of a justice to the United States Supreme Court.
I gotta say, though, if you're just looking at this as a young voter, you're like, who is this old bag? You know, just the way she sounds. I'm sorry, I know it's ageist, but gee, we need some.
Well, she has a stroke. She had a stroke.
Well, sorry. It's just, it doesn't work really well to communicate any kind of message. Any young person is tuning this out within seconds.
Wait, hold on a second. You're assuming any young person is watching C-SPAN?
Yeah.
I have begun my floor remarks explaining my decision with a recognition of the solemn nature and the importance of the occasion. But today, we have come to the conclusion of a confirmation process that has become so dysfunctional, it looks more like a caricature of a gutter-level political campaign than a solemn occasion. The president nominated Brett Kavanaugh on July 9th. Within moments of that announcement, special interest groups raced to be the first to oppose him, including one organization that didn't even bother to fill in the judge's name on its pre-written press release. They simply wrote that they opposed Donald Trump's nomination of XX to the Supreme Court of the United States. A number of senators joined the race to announce their opposition, but they were beaten to the punch by one of our colleagues who actually announced opposition before the nominee's identity was even known. Since that time, we have seen special interest groups whip their followers into a frenzy by spreading misrepresentations and outright falsehoods about Judge Kavanaugh's judicial record. Over-the-top rhetoric and distortions of his record and testimony at his first hearing produced short-lived headlines which, although debunked hours later, continued to live on and be spread through social media. Interest groups have also spent an unprecedented amount of dark money opposing this nomination.
So the problem that presents this, and this is, I mean, it's over now. It's done. It's kind of boring. The issue for the Democratic Party, the Democrats, is that they really have no platform. What they've been doing, certainly throughout the Obama years, is just look at at Obamacare, the mandated option where you have to pay a penalty even if you don't have health insurance. They all of that went through the court, and we've talked about this. Instead of actually making laws, they hand stuff off to little agencies like IRS and FDA, and everything else that's really hard to do and get something done, they take it to the court, and so they won't have that option anymore. And I think that this is not over. This realization is going to hit people, and there's going to be nastiness. I don't think this is over by a long shot.
I think it's over.
No. And by the way, to answer your question, where today's kids get their news from, here's a commercial.
Smart news.
I was only watching news I agreed with.
I was only getting news from social media.
Now, I use Smart News.
It has news from all sides.
I trust Smart News.
Download Smart News for free today.
Woohoo! Free! It's free! What could go wrong? It's free Smart News. It'll be just fine. Particularly fun in this episode is I'm seeing blame shift for this loss towards Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer, who, of course, came with a third accusation last minute of gang rape and facilitation of gang rape. Here's Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, I guess.
It's probably the best thing to happen to Brett Kavanaugh, isn't it? I mean, all these Democrats that have been flirting with him, they've got to really be embarrassed.
Look how quickly, when Susan Collins in that speech got to the sexual assault allegation portion of the speech, look how quickly she moved to the Michael Avenatti role in all of this. If this had been something over the last week to 10 days where you had the testimony from Christine Blasey Ford, you had the questions that arose from that, and that was the issue that was being litigated in sort of the court of public opinion when it came to sexual assault, I wonder if this would have played out any differently than the Michael Avenatti circus comes to town, and it just changes the nature of the debate. It changes the terms of the debate.
It diluted Dr. Ford. Whatever you might think, it did sort of, something about Michael Avenatti might have cheapened.
It was also
cheapened the whole
different.
thing.
Oh, we'll see how he does now. He's running for president, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's what I forgot what we had. I think it was another Bannon clip where he was promoting these losers to run against Trump. Oh yeah, you know the thing is that Avenatti guy, he could beat Trump.
Yeah, sure. But it has been a very strange time. You know, I've spoken to many women, a lot of women. I'd say it's not uncommon for a lot of women in Texas to be on the side of, wow, you know, we got to be careful with these accusations because, you know, I feel bad for men now. And this is not, you know, we got to be careful with this. And I have to say, I found myself properly trained as a man of the white color and old age, to not even think that way. I don't know if I was just like, wow, you're actually saying that out loud. I mean, and I heard a lot of women saying this.
Yeah, but why would you think that way? You're expressing the way a woman thinks.
Right, but that it would be the general way men would think, but I think we've been already trained. I think it's
all to think how?
To think that it's just shut up. Just shut up. It's your fault. Just shut up.
I've never thought that I should shut up because it's my fault.
Yeah, but you're not around.
I've so often thought I should shut up because I don't want to get somebody punching me.
Well,
or
that's what I mean. Not that it's your fault, but you don't want screaming or punching or yelling. But now you're seeing women coming to men's defense. It's very interesting. Yeah. And I think the whole Me Too movement has been ruined by this affair. I really do. It was.
Well, I think the Democrats have got a problem. If they can't get their act together to do something other than hate.
Yeah.
Because it's all really hate Trump. And when you get to the bottom of all these people, you hear them discuss stuff, they sound like they're reasonable. And then it comes down to hate Trump. I hate Trump. The president shouldn't be president.
Right.
That is not the way to get anybody. I mean, you're going to get the haters to vote for you, but not everybody is. Most people are just kind of, they'd go on their merry way. They're not sitting around obsessing over Trump and hating Trump. I mean, you can maybe get them worked up for a while. Oh, that Trump, he's an idiot, something like that. But they're not sitting there hating the guy like these guys are.
No.
That's not a positive message.
I love a big article about Joel Kaplan, Facebook's vice president for global public policy. He's a friend of Kavanaugh's for 20, 30 years. Must be a boofer. And he was sitting behind Kavanaugh during his finest hour. And Facebook people, just the employees went nuts. They had to send internal memos and, this is obviously, here, Mr. Kaplan's show of support for Mr. Kavanaugh. Yeah.
So nobody can show support?
No, Mr. Kaplan believes. Let's see.
So a guy can't have his own opinion about things at Facebook. Everyone has to think lockstep the same way.
Here's the email that went out. Our leadership team recognizes that they've made mistakes handling the events of the last week, and we're grateful for all the feedback from our employees.
That was a mistake, they say? Just some guy standing up for his buddy?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's that a mistake?
It is, apparently.
I would like to know, I've been trying to figure this out. Silicon Valley, which I've been covering since the late 70s, used to be kind of a Republican stronghold. And there's a number of famous congressmen that came out of there were Republicans. Somewhere along the line, it switched to Democrat. And it's only recently, because when the Democrat took it, and it has to do with Google and Facebook.
No, take it back. Go back further. Obama was going to be the internet president, if you recall. And WhiteHouse.gov is getting a complete makeover. It's going to be cyber. He's going to be on Twitter. He's going to be on Facebook. And they used Facebook quite extensively for his little database there. I shouldn't say little, for his database. Remember, it was all about, this is the internet president. Because, that was the white kids. Because, the white kids like, well, he's black, so, we'll give the other kids that. But he's going to be the internet president. So he'll be our president, too. And I think that's when it really started. And, look, people from Google were running the country's technology as the chief technology officer of the land. That's when it happened. And that's when my uncle, lifelong Republican, also became a Democrat and voted for Obama twice. A Bush guy. Also a company guy, which fit right in line with Obama. But I think that's when it started, John. So you're looking at 10 years.
It may have started before. I just find the whole thing peculiar. And then, of course, they all have to move to San Francisco to ruin it.
Yeah.
And which makes no sense to me. All these companies are really headquartered in Redwood City, Menlo Park.
Now there's good and bad. There's good and bad with the techers being in San Francisco. There is good because they also develop things for the San Francisco community.
Like what?
Kayvon Lucchini reported it immediately, calling 311. A man south of Market using the sidewalk as his own personal toilet.
But I wasn't there the next day.
He was relieved the city responded to the service request fast and knows about the SF311 mobile app, but says it's an ongoing challenge.
I want a solution where I can literally just pull out my phone, take a picture, and press send.
Sean Miller came up with Snapcrap, a mobile app that he says offers fewer steps than SF311.
You have to add a comment, you have to select an object, all that sort of thing. My app is specifically for street and sidewalk cleaning for human and animal waste.
It has autofill and location. He says initially there were some jokes about the subject matter, but they also saw it as serious. He's seen waste problems in his own neighborhood.
Which is notoriously filthy, right? So seeing this every day, I just got really frustrated.
Now, the app was just released a few days ago. It does have a 311 dial feature. We couldn't get that to work on our phone. He tells us he is looking into that, though, and making some updates. Now, Public Works says that they get about 10,000 requests for cleaning per month in San Francisco, and about 1,300 of those are related to human or animal waste.
Oh. Yeah, the Snapcrap app.
Snapcrap.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you're right. The tech community has done wonders for the city.
They are helping you out with your community.
I mean, not only that, but they create the problem because the Twitter folks were the ones bitching and moaning about the public toilets near their offices, figuring that's what's attracting the homeless and making their lives miserable as they walk to their cars or Uber pickups. And so they got rid of that. So people started crapping in the street to an extreme. It's now become a big thing. So they create the problem and they solve it.
Yes. Now you're catching on. Silicon Valley is a solution looking for a problem. Elizabeth Warren lost no time, though. As you know, I donate to both the Democrats and the Republicans during the cycles to get on the mailing list.
Oh, and so you get to chip in mailers.
You want it? I wish I could do her voice because this is a real gem. I'll just be blunt. We lost a really tough fight, and it hurts. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and tell you everything's going to be fine. What happened today will touch every single person in this country in some very real and terrible ways. But it's okay to step back for a minute. Take a breath. Call up an old friend. Lean on the shoulder of someone you love. Pet your puppy. I know I will. Pet your cat. We'll get through this together. And then you cannot give up. Remember your anger and your... What? Let me get to the fucking chip in point. Come on, I'm doing an act here. Remember your anger and your pain in November. If we don't like being powerless, then we need to win power and do it now. We are not victims. We are strong. 32 days until election. Exactly 1 month. No. Anyway, tick-tock. I'm fighting for re-election. I'm fighting for Democratic Senate candidates all over the country because it's never been more important for us to win back the Senate. It's easy to feel helpless on days like today, but remember, even the fights we lose matter. Every time you called and marched and tweeted and helped move us closer, and it was close. Don't forget this. Even the fights we lose matter. History will remember that we didn't go quietly. We resisted, persisted, and fought to be heard. Because of this fight like never before, people have found their voices. I've seen it. The hallways of Capitol Hill have been teeming with survivors of sexual assault and activists who will not be silent, including the women who held an elevator door open so they could make sure Jeff Flake heard their pain. We won't let those doors close. 27 years ago, Anita Hill was virtually alone. Today, we're a grassroots army, and we will be heard. We're owning our anger, and we're putting it to work. I'm angry. I'm angry on behalf of women who've been told to sit down and shut up one time too many. On behalf of everyone who doesn't have power. African Americans, Latinos, LGBTQ Americans, Native Americans, students, seniors, podcasters, everyone who gets put down and shut out of power by men who don't know how to share. And make no mistake, this whole sham of a confirmation process has been about power. Powerful men helping powerful men and hijacking our democracy. Here's my message for those powerful guys. Time's up. It's time for everyone who's been left out to take power. Entitled men, powerful interests, and giant corporations call the shots. So we've got a plan. It's got 3 parts. Take back the Senate, take back the House, return the power to the people where it belongs. This hurts, but if we keep fighting, we can turn our pain into power. So please, chip in right now to help Democrats fight back and win power.
Chip in.
I mean, that is the lamest payoff to such a passionate, empowered speech.
It's impassionate, but what is the real message? First of all, it's structured as defeatist.
Completely.
And so it's a defeatist message, which has got to – I don't know who's writing this stuff for these people. But the way the message goes through is, oh, my God, we're having our asses handed to us. And then to make it worse, it makes it sound, because of the giant corporations and evil men, it makes it sound that you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So why bother chipping in?
No, I think the opposite. I think people will actually chip in $3. Like,
is it a $3 chip in?
It's a $3 chip in.
Oh, God.
It's always a $3 chip in.
I don't think they get the numbers they could get if they had a message, a positive message. This is what the Democrats were accusing the Republicans of during the early days of their Obama years. You know, the Republicans were the party of no, the party with no message, the party with no hope, no anything. Obama was the guy with hope and change. And he's going to do this, he's going to do that, it's going to make everything better, which is what Trump went with Make America Great Again, which they mock.
Yeah.
And they don't want to make America great again. They want to just hate Trump. This is not the way to write these sales letters.
I totally agree. And I think there's still an opportunity for us.
For what?
You know, to go into the business of writing better newsletters for these people.
We could not get anywhere with them because we don't hate Trump. It's like a prerequisite. So we're looking at your resume here. I don't see any evidence that you hate Trump.
I have this clip from your podcast.
Yeah, it sounds like you're Trump apologists. I did a tweet showing it was a very good little video that I guess the Trump people produced. They were in they were in one of the recent speeches, not Kansas, but the one Mississippi. They're in Mississippi, and they got this auditorium filled to the gills. There must be 25,000, 30,000 people stuffed into this place, full. And they're shooting it around, and then Trump is, yakking about something and doing his hour. And I made the comment, I said, this is the Democrats have to deal with this. This is a guy who really draws large crowds, and the only other person they've ever had in the Democrat side that was able to do that was Bernie Sanders, who the media refused to cover.
Right.
And I said that this is a problem for the Democrats. They don't even want to deal or think about what's going on here. I mean, you saw the Sarah Silverman thing reference it, but the speech wasn't about her. It was one of his shticks that he did in the middle of the speech.
Here's what I don't understand.
But wait. So I got a tweet from some guy. Trump, this is why you suck. Your podcast stinks. No Agenda sucks because of your Trump apologist. All I was doing was pointing out that this is a problem for the Democrats and that Bernie Sanders never got any attention, doing pretty much the same thing. Whose fault was that? How does that make the No Agenda show not worth listening to?
Oh, you're not going to change anyone's mind who thinks that way.
And
they're already permanently ill.
I blocked him.
Of course, block right away. Block early, block often. The only message that they could have, which I don't hear, is no borders. Some of them are saying that. Ocasio-Cortez is saying it. She's popular. She's hopping. She got some heat. No, she says it. Why don't they just say it? No borders.
They don't say it because they know that the public at large doesn't like this idea.
Well, then they have no reason for being. If they represent no one, then it's not. And then
they represent a bunch of socialists. And by the way, within the public at large, there is a large contingent of true socialists and globalists. For some reason, the socialists have become globalists. I don't know when that happened.
Why aren't they doing United Colors of Benetton commercials and stuff? I mean, they should be working it. If they want to commit to a globalist message, they could do that. They're not even doing that.
They do the research. They do enough research to know that the public doesn't want to be part of some one world government. They've watched too many. The public watches too many movies.
Okay, so then somehow they're thinking that they have the majority because they had 3 million extra votes. I'm just using their numbers.
From California, thank you.
Well, I'm just using their numbers because that's never mentioned. That's never mentioned as an aside. We won because of California. No, just we won. And I guess they're thinking we have the votes, which they clearly don't. I don't know. But Nancy Pelosi did teach us a very important lesson. She taught us about the, what did she call it here? She had a name for it, which we call something else on this show. Hold on. Let me just, it was the, yeah, she has the name. It's a smear tactic, but listen.
The difference is we don't engage in the politics of personal destruction. The fact is that if we just talk about the issues, for example, I think it would be interesting to people in these districts to know that the Speaker wants to take away the guarantee of Medicare. So I think talking about issues is where we should be. What is the difference in one person being Speaker than another? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident. But I think I'm worth the trouble, quite frankly. I love the fray. I'm not disrespectful of people's views. I respect any positive things that people want to say, or even negative, as long as it's constructive.
The wrap-up smear. Yeah, very nice. The wrap-up smear. That's what
that's the old CIA
That's what
trick.
The CIA does. Yeah, well, FBI as well. We know that now. Yeah, the FBI is like, hey, you get a smear out there. I think you need to add social media to the mix because that's what really makes the cycle spin fast. And that's why we're on high spin cycle. Once we backed up the M5M to the Sosh Nets, you got some perpetual motion going. That is your physics lesson for the day.
It would still be useful if the Democrats had a positive message about something. They can't do what they want. What they I don't know what they can do to. And this nonsense about that we're trying to get rid of Medicare and all the rest of it is it's not accurate. It's going to be an interesting election. I don't I think, and I said this in the newsletter, that if they don't make a big if the Democrats do not make an impact in the upcoming election, I don't know what they're going to do and how it's going to go, because it's going to be one of those pathetic situations that we had this going on similarly during the Bush administration.
Mm-hmm.
And the Democrats seemed to never get anything going until Obama came along. And it was only Obama's,
his skills.
He has a lot of skills, and he was a natural. I don't think he did anything good for the country because he wasn't an experienced enough person. He didn't ever work for a living. He's just a community organizer guy who had a good speaking voice. And
timing.
Timing's outstanding. And he surrounded himself with women, had his mother-in-law living in the White House. It was kind of strange. And then Susan Rice and all these other – he was pushed around by females.
Susan Rice?
She was there.
Susan Rice was living in the White House?
No, his mother-in-law was living in the Rice House, but Susan Rice was one of his advisors, and all the
Valerie Jarrett,
they're all women.
Yeah, true.
And so it had a different kind of a feel to it than you have now, which pretty much, I'd say, I can't say they're stronger women because those other women. Apparently, Susan Rice is going to run against Collins. That's what I thought. She's not even from Maine.
So we have switching gears.
These are carpetbaggers, these Democrats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move to Maine for a month and then run.
So we have
that's what Hillary did. I mean, what is wrong with the Democrats? They can't even field somebody from their own community.
There's other things happening in the world. And specifically, there's millennials happening in my house.
Oh, we need some reports.
Yes, we have Austin City Limits this weekend and next weekend, which is a very large outdoor festival. And they have multiple stages, and they have big headliners. And the headliners do the one weekend, and they come back and do the next weekend. Paul McCartney is our big headliner this year. And
he's getting around.
He is
getting up with him.
Well, he's got another album out. He's writing new songs, and he's digging it. And he has a huge millennial following. It's kind of the Bernie grandpa factor. They love him. And also what was that movie that I think we talked about it? It's oh my gosh, it's a movie that has a lot of Beatles songs in it. All the kids love it. All the millennials are talking about it. It was out maybe 5 years ago. No, maybe the troll room will come to me. It's like across the universe. That's what it's called.
Never heard of it.
We've discussed it on the show. It's a very good movie. Across the universe, and it's a young hip movie, but it has all Beatles songs in it. I don't want to give away the plot. But anyway, so Elise is here.
Plot?
It has a plot. Elise is here, and she brought two of her friends. And now Tina unfortunately had to go back to Chicago to be with her sister. So I'm here with the gaggle of what is it? What do you say? Like a gaggle, but millennials. Do we have a term for a?
Yeah, hen house.
No, it's not a hen house. Thanks. Hope they're not listening. By the way, they're not.
Of course not.
So I'm mining them for information. Because I need to learn. I need to learn a lot. And I did learn a couple things. Now, what's great
Why
about
does this old fart keep asking us stuff?
He's
got nice hair. Go on.
He knows. He met Paul McCartney. Tell us the story about when you met Paul McCartney. I got that one.
Did you meet the real Paul McCartney? Or did you read this guy?
Oh no, the standing guy. Yeah, it was. Okay. It was 1984, so I'm pretty sure it was the standing guy.
Yeah.
By then, it was the new Paul.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, so I like the new Paul, and I met Linda.
He may actually have had more talent than the original.
And I met Linda too. Yeah.
Well, she knew, but
yeah. Oh yeah, of course she knew. Now the cool thing about the millennials is they all had internships over the summer, and so some news and information came back from one of the gals who had been an intern at NBC in New York at 30 Rock.
Oh, nice.
And I got this info specifically for you. Fallon, extremely high maintenance, total drinker during the day.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone says.
Well, the drinking part we knew, but I didn't realize he was high maintenance. Apparently, it's like really, really high maintenance.
Well, so at the page level.
No, intern. That's lower than page.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. At the intern level, which is lower than page, this is discussed. So it's a known fact.
Yep. And Kate McKinnon.
What makes him high maintenance?
Kate
Was there any
McKinnon.
examples?
Just that everyone
I
is,
want a bath with Evian water.
that idea. Everyone's tiptoeing around, has to make sure that anything he wants is taken care of. And of course, that's what the interns are sent off to do crazy shit for Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, that can't be good for the network.
Kate McKinnon. So our millennial intern, I guess she does coffee. Makes sense.
Does coffee.
And she's in the kitchenette making coffee. Kate McKinnon, who is fabulous actor, comedian.
She's
from
a very,
Saturday Night
very
Live.
talented person.
Very, very versatile. Her latest one is Lindsey Graham, which I think she does incredibly well. She literally made her coffee over the intern. Just moved right in front of her and just started making just like as if she wasn't there.
I can see that.
Same goes for Pete Davidson, also very weird dude.
Huh.
But then
tell her there's a book in this.
I think she wants to break into show business. That's not really the way to go. Or maybe it is these days. You never know.
It's hard to say.
So then we were talking about Sosh Nets, and these kids are all pretty much on one social network only. They have Twitter that's where they get their news. Although that's ending because, the Smart News app will take that market.
Smart News.
Smart News. It would be great
Smart News.
Be great if Trump did that. And I've started a new division. It's called Smart News. So they're all on Instagram. Instagram is all what it's about. And I wanted to share something. And it actually took me down an interesting path. But first, the news story about what's going on with the Insta.
There's another big story happening at Facebook, which is that some of the big names are leaving. The two founders of Instagram just left Facebook after differences with Mark Zuckerberg about how to run Instagram, which Facebook acquired back in 2012. The WhatsApp co-founder also recently departed Facebook. Facebook bought WhatsApp for $22 billion back in 2014. What's going on here?
Yeah, so these are two different stories, obviously, but they have some crossover and some similarities. One of the interesting things about Facebook is that it's one of the only big platforms that truly requires you to present as who you are. It's difficult to be anonymous there. That's an important part of Facebook's design. And in a fundamental way, this goes against the idea of privacy online, right?
Right.
And I think both of these stories are connected to that. So with the case of the Instagram co-founders, these two men left the company in part because Instagram is such a key part of Facebook's future revenue. The company really is starting to try to change Instagram to be more friendly to advertising. And this apparently was part of the departure there. When it comes to WhatsApp, it's another sort of unique story, but again, it's about privacy and about the founder kind of having different ideas than Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook about what WhatsApp should be used for and how it should make money.
So this was part of the conversation. By the way, I say the gals, these millennials, but they're all 21, and these are young women. So they come and go as they please, and they love talking to a guy like me because I'm kind of laid back. It's like I buy them alcohol.
Nice hair.
I buy them alcohol. I got stories. I'm smoking weed. So we start talking about other things going on in college. Do you want to interrupt? Go ahead.
Yes, I do. I want to first preface this whole thing that you're going to go into with the fact that these guys always quit. No company gets bought out. I don't care who it is. I've never seen one happen where a guy sticks on, unless he gets to take over the other company, which is usually never happens. It does happen, but rarely.
Yeah.
It's like you're there and you have a contract that when you buy Instagram, you have to work there for 2 or 3 years. I can guarantee that the end of their contract is just about the same day they quit. They quit because they don't have to work there anymore. They got billions of dollars in the bank. Why should they be taking orders from Zuckerberg? And the same thing with the other guy. I mean, these guys, this is what you do in Silicon Valley. It's not like a statement.
Yes and no. The guy one of the two founders did make a statement by saying, you know what? I'm leaving now. I know that if I'd stayed the final year, then $850 million of stock would have vested. Said, but yeah, I'm just going to leave that on the table. It's so bad, I want to go. So he did not want to. He has billions, but he did not want to stay, despite another $850 million on the table.
Chump change.
Yeah, chump change. It's like what dropped out of my pocket. But the reason why I found this interesting is I'm pretty sure that a lot is going on with Instagram. I watch the behavior of people using Instagram incessantly. I mean, I am leering over airplane seats. I'm the first one to stand up when we've arrived at the airport because I want to see what everyone's doing on their phones. And a lot of it is, what did I miss on Instagram? Not like I landed safely. Like the old days when you had text message, SMS, landed, made it, I'm still alive. No, now it's, let me check, let me see what's going on Instagram. And Instagram is one of the few, if not the only social network, and I have to say in this case, it's really about the application, that if you say, have you ever clicked on an internet ad, women in particular will say, oh yeah, on Instagram. And they have creation tools for people to do these Instagram stories and, put your little stickers and hoo-ha and stuff over it. And it's an obsessive system, and people really, really, really dig it. And this is where the conversation turned to Adderall, Vyvanse, and the 10 other products, at least by different names that have the same structure, mainly amphetamine. And make no mistake that amphetamines are exactly the same as methamphetamine, except for the meth part. Just one little extra molecule, one little element that's not in there.
It's just different.
But
it's the same.
It does the same to your brain and to your heart and to your system.
Yeah, unhealthy.
It's not necessary, but everybody is on it. If you have a prescription, you're selling. If you don't have a prescription, you're buying. And it ranges between $2 and $7 a pill. And there's this, it is not seen as a drug. They are open about the transactions in Facebook groups and also on Instagram. Like, need some Addy. And it's not policed. But everybody is taking it. And this is where the big aha moment came. Instagram is uniquely tuned to an Adderall user. You want to look great. You want to be perfect. It also helps with weight loss, of course. It plays entirely into everything you need to have in the feedback loop. Bing, bing, bing. I've got stuff. Oh, yeah. Swipe up, swipe left. Let's go. Let's check it. Oh, yeah. I got to like that. Got to go back. Ooh, ah. And they all agree. They said, yeah, it's as if Adderall was made for Instagram. I would say Instagram has been fine-tuned for the Adderall mind. And those two together is, I think, a very toxic combination. And so while I'm researching this, turns out there's a documentary on Netflix about this very topic. It's called Take Your Pills. Here's the trailer.
I learned about ADD after being on the medication. I didn't know what it was. All I knew was for school.
And then when I got here and I was like, holy shit, everybody takes Adderall. Everyone. I take it right when I wake up. It takes about 40 minutes to kick in, and you can feel it. I start to sweat. My heart accelerates.
My handwriting got neater. I thought that was so cool.
My mind came alive. My body felt alive.
It works like a bang.
Adderall, warning. Side effects may include being awesome at everything.
Every generation has found a different way to try to enhance their performance. Now, in this case, it has been ADHD drugs. This ain't new.
It's not like a glass of wine or a joint or any way that people use to decompress. I really see it as a supplement, as a tool.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So then you're primed that a pill is going to give me what I want.
I felt this mounting pressure from work to start using my prescription.
That says something about our culture right now.
It makes me kind of depressed.
We probably have meds for that.
Everyone has a little ADD. No, we have distractions, but not everyone has a brain that functions like somebody's with ADHD.
I wouldn't say that I'm happy to have Adderall, but I'm happy that Adderall is an option for you.
There are cardiovascular risks. Psychotic episode. You wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy.
I've got everything I wanted, and there's no way any of that would have been possible without the medication.
The perfect employee is somebody that doesn't say no. There is a culture of you do stay up 16 hours for 7 days straight. I've had a seizure from exhaustion.
You want to be beautiful and you want to have amazing grades, and Adderall just sort of sews it all up for you.
There you go.
It's the drug of our time.
This focus on material progress and productivity, what's the cost of that? And is that a cost we're willing to live with?
It's a good documentary. It's worth watching. But we have an entire generation of kids who are jacked up on this. And they're using it. They're not hooked on it, but they're hooked on the effects of it and use it whenever they need to perform.
I don't know that this is that new.
It's not new at all. Amphetamines have been used since the 20s. People have been...
Well, my dad used to talk about when he was on a ship, he's in the Navy, and how everyone was jacked up on Benzedrine all the time.
Yeah, but the difference is we now have an entire culture around it. And that's what I mean with Instagram. It is also actively being pushed very, very aggressively by the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Yes.
These guys are just making money. In the olden days, it was all illicit guys that were making all the money, and it was like kept under the table. In fact, during my stint in high school, I used to work on there's the era when you could actually get a really good summer job. And I had worked at International Harvester for 2 different summers. The first summer I worked there was on the hose bench, making
hoses.
Actually making hoses for a specific part of the clutch. And then the next year I was a receiving clerk, which was a much better job. That's when I discovered you really want to be an inspector. But during the hose bench era, I got busted a couple of times for my production was not good. It was low. I was working my ass off making these hoses.
This is where John found out about Benny's.
No, I always knew about Benny's, but I could not get my production numbers up, and I wasn't making the quality product that these other guys were making twice as much. And then within a couple of years, there was a huge bust of a drug ring at International Harvester San Leandro, where they were selling Bennies to these guys. So the reason I wasn't
because you weren't jacked up like they were.
I wasn't jacked up for the company.
So now the question is,
get jacked up for somebody else.
The question is, what do those guys from then look like today?
Well, I don't know.
Are they alive?
They might not be. Who knows? I don't think it's healthy.
No. Well, no, it's pretty much medically proven. It's prolonged use is not healthy. And by the way, these kids, all these different brands, it's all mainly about the strength and the release schedule. So Adderall works quicker. It gets going in about 20 minutes, and it lasts 4 hours. But doesn't quite have the same awesome sauce effect as Vyvanse, but the problem with Vyvanse is it's slow release over a 12-hour period, and that can keep them up sometimes, and they can't sleep, which of course turns them to the weed or the vape pen, so they can smoke some or vape some THC to go to sleep, and the cycle repeats the next day. At the same time, when Friday the FDA released a 27-page memo that said CBD products, that's cannabinoid, that's not the THC, should not be a controlled substance. However, due to international treaties, the United States will still require it to be treated as such.
Yeah, international treaties designed by us. What a bull crap. Who writes these international treaties?
Presidents.
Presidents of the United States. Yeah, international treaties.
The letter was written.
You look into the background of this international treaty, which apparently Portugal doesn't abide by. I think is Ecuador or Paraguay, one of these countries in South America, doesn't go for it. And I guess Canada, what are they going to do?
So if you have a CBD with less than 0.1% of THC, because you extract it and there's always something left. So 0.1%. That CBD will be classified as Schedule 5. Now, it's not Schedule 1. That is where CBD with extracts more than 0.1% will remain. on Schedule 1, up there with horse.
Well, if you talk, with horse and cocaine and Oreos. Now, if you talk to the experts up in the shops where all the old ladies go,
for their arthritis
in Washington State, they all tell you the same thing, and you'll see it in the blends of the edibles. If you need a dose of CBD for your, for whatever reason, you really need to have some THC mixed into it because they do work in a combinative way.
Yes, they do. So that'll be Schedule 1 stuff. That's the whole reason right there is the old ladies. That's the target market. I agree.
Well, the old ladies eventually will put their foot down on this stuff, and
and they'll vote.
It's mostly the Democrat. In this case, this is a good topic for the Democrats to get into.
Right.
Democrats are the old ladies, and they're the ones that should be promoting the legalization of this. There's a lot of good topics that Democrats, besides open borders and a couple of other minor issues and hate Trump, they could find stuff to talk about, but they refuse to do it.
Yeah. Curious, but it is true. So that's the report. The combo that to me was the most interesting was the combination of Instagram and the amphetamines.
So that's what you got out of the girls? Did they give you a couple vials?
I can
sell you a couple pills.
They wouldn't just give it to me.
Dots.
No, they got to sell it to me. They're not going to give it to me. Like, hey, old man.
A couple of Gee whizzers for
I'm like, hey, I'm going to do
$7 a pop.
I'm going to do the show now. Hit me up. Hit me up with some Adderall. Can you imagine?
These girls are all high the whole time they're there?
No. They only need it when they need to perform.
Okay.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to the man who put the C in CBD, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Kerr. Also in the morning to ships and sea boots to the ground. Feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the day out there.
Time for your Adderall. And in the morning to the troll room, noagendastream.com. Looks like we have some kind of issue with the web chat today. Apologies for that. But we still have mucho people tuning in, which is always nice to see as we do the show live on Sundays and Thursdays. At 11 Central Time, 9 Gitmo Nation Pacific Time. Also in the morning to Cesium 137. He brought us the artwork for episode 1074. The title of that was Boo You. And this was the money, yesterday's money and today's money, two piles of dollar bills showing how inflation works in one easy illustration. And did get a note from Cesium 137. He said, hey, I've been trying to kill the flu with the limoncello. I'll let you know if it worked. That is I think it has to be Dame Elise Garling's limoncello. Otherwise, it may not work. But nice piece of art, and we appreciate the work that all of our artists do. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Before we move on, just speaking of art for a second, I really like the Banksy stunt.
What was it? I don't know of it.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it's not really worth clipping because it's really just a bunch of people freaking out. So at Sotheby's in the UK, they're auctioning off "Little Girl with a Red Balloon," which is a very famous Banksy iconic piece of work. It goes for £1 million. £1 million. The gavel comes down, and seconds later, and this is all filmed presumably by Banksy or one of his accomplices. This frame around the painting, I think it's watercolor. It starts whirring and clicking and beeping.
Well, the painting should be made from spray paint, but go on. Krylon.
It's on paper. The frame starts whirring and clicking and beeping, and the artwork starts slipping down in the frame, and at the bottom of the frame, it's coming out shredded. And so it drops down halfway, and it's completely shredded. Although it's all the shredded bits are just waving there, and people are freaking out. Immediately they're taking it off the wall, they're rushing it away. And Banksy did this video, and he says, "Well, a couple of years ago I did this," which I find unlikely, by the way. And he shows how he put this shredder system into a piece of artwork. and that it was all rigged ahead of time, ready for for this gag. Of course, I think it's worth a lot more now that this happened. But I'm a little skeptical about him having set this up years ahead of time, and I guess it's got a battery in there, and the battery's just listening nonstop for years, and I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Technically, I have some issues with it, but you've got to see the video because it's very, very funny.
Huh. So what, did it roll up the one painting and spit out the other one?
No, it just half of the picture had dropped down halfway. But
but was it rolled up into? Was there a mechanism there that already had the pre-shredded stuff?
No. The actual piece that's in there just the shredder goes on. Imagine you just got a piece of paper on top of the shredder. Nothing happens, but then you turn the shredder on, and then it shreds it as it goes down.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
Anyway, transitioning to our $1 million.
Yeah, which we didn't make. We didn't get our $1 million.
No.
But we did get a couple people. In fact, one guy held up for some reason, Seronimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia.
What?
Came
He's
in
back
with
again?
another $800.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it's because he has a grievance and he wants me to read this.
Well, we do love his content.
No, this is a good one.
Okay. Now, this is Seronimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia, a longtime supporter of the show. Does not want any titles. He would likely be a duke by now.
I'm guessing.
And we really have, and he always writes in a letter, and we really have no other thoughts about him, except he's a Muslim.
He's very anonymous. He sends his sealed envelope with no return address. Dear listeners and producers, pardon my small soapbox, but having recently been confronted by two SJW that called me a racist for refusing to sign a lame petition about illegal immigrant so-called parents being separated from their so-called children, I had to type this. The SJWs, and for anyone new, it's social justice warriors. You know them all. They're the ones that were against Kavanaugh. These SJWs' ignorance still pisses me off. I asked them if they'd ever dealt with child trafficking, ever paid cash to get young girls and boys returned, ever tried to adopt orphans or paid their tuition for a private school to save them from traffickers. Have they ever confronted traffickers that shoot first or murder the children to escape? Have they ever been to a third world country to do anything but post selfies on social media? Have they done more than retweet "Bring Back Our Girls" hashtag? I have. So look through the self-righteous BS and see how you are helping child traffickers with this petition. Children fall for the promise that they will get a better life somewhere and often go willingly. Keeping them with the traffickers means that it will be successful. If we save even one child or just 1% of these children through this process of the 164 or whatever number they claim was separated, it is one less victim of slavery. Or do you support child slavery in the United States? I do very little, but even little isn't cheap, isn't easy, and isn't without risk. So I'm not signing a petition to make this stuff easier for the trafficker. And don't start me on green energy and demand for rare earth metals from China and Africa and the devastation of the region and people. Visit these places. These places are real shitholes where we underpay for the material so America and the EU can breathe clean air at the cost of destroying entire villages and making areas uninhabitable, since there is no money for reclamation. We insist on no child labor in garment factories. Validation diamonds are not blood diamonds, but have no standards for green energy material production. I don't see Al Gore visiting these places or talking about this stuff. Only the need for more rare earth metals in the U.S. Governor Brown should get a clue. Spend the satellite money on reclamation in China or the DR Congo, or insist on clean mining sources to really save the planet. Ignorant, overprotected, self-righteous, self-absorbed, greedy, and selfish fools. Stepping down from the soapbox, and thanks for the advertising time. NJNK.
Wow. Well, there's only one way to come out of that.
The more you know in the morning.
Seronimus.
Seronimus strikes again.
Thank you very much.
Tim Lang, $333.33 from San Francisco, California. 33.3 extra lucky donation for me and my fiance's upcoming wedding. I second Adam in his notion that proposing is the easy part. Wedding planning is tough. Please give me some wedding karma and throw in some career karma as I've just been promoted.
So Tina hadn't heard the show when we were talking about just doing it green screen and streaming it and sending everybody a piece of cake. She's not against the idea.
Yeah.
She says now.
You've got karma.
Oh, I don't need a gift. You can just give me anything.
Yeah, that was right after. I don't need a ring.
I don't need a ring. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll just be humiliated.
It's beautiful.
Braden Whitehead, Sir Knives, Knight of the Providence Plantations, $291.09. He'll be associate executive producer. I'm donating today in celebration of my smoking hot wife, Stephanie Batters, 29th birthday on October 9th. As such, I decided 29109 worked for a number 29 years on 10-9. Please give her the producer credit as well as the credit towards her damehood. I feel obliged to also please ask Adam to be sure to remember her birthday shout-out as well. You may recall her donation at the end of August and the note regarding my missed shout-out. Though it didn't really bother me that much, she clearly takes these things a bit more seriously than I.
Yeah, it's on the list. I double-checked.
And it would be a shame to see anyone, as John so aptly put it, get battersed again. I don't remember saying that, but okay. We will be celebrating in Maine for her birthday. Say hi to Susan Collins. During the show on Sunday, so I'm sad to report we may miss our much-vaunted Sunday no-agenda millennial brunch. But rest assured, I'll be making every effort to play the live stream regardless. With any luck, maybe I'll be able to hit some of our buddies in the mouth while I'm at it. If I could get some karma in the Space Force for the love of my children's birthday, love of my life's birthday. Where did I get that from? For the love of my life's birthday, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Steph.
He says, love you. Not thank you. He says, love you. Love you, Steph. And then he says,
I've been noticing that I've been turning very slightly dyslexic ever since I had the
I was going to say, is that from the IOP?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, you should go get a refund.
I'm not going to get a refund. I can see. Thanks.
Space Force. Wait. You've got karma.
Well, I already did the Space Force.
Okay, he says thanks again for everything you guys do. Loves the show.
Thank you.
Onward to Sir Chris Spears in Austin, Texas, your buddy. 23456. Want to thank you for doing what you do and hope this long overdue value for value finds you well. If you please, I would love to hear JC's call for obedience. Adam, if I might ask, can you post a link to your clip of the Seedman's prescient warning of bovine chimeras? That's the baby growing babies, I think.
Right. Oh, he wants. Oh, I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, that's no problem. You can do that.
Thanks, Sir Chris.
Okay, I got both of those.
You will obey.
My God, for 25 years, they've been growing babies in cows.
You've got karma.
They're called calves. Stephen Schnuel in McMinnville, Tennessee. Another one of our Tennesseans. $200. First time donor.
De-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Yep, got a de-douche.
He got his douchebag call out to all the members of the team we eating.
Oh,
they know who they are.
Douchebag call out?
Douchebag.
I hear Nashville is getting pretty bad. I got a note from one of our producers that there's 100 people a day moving to Nashville. I'm sure a lot of them are for California, and they've got the damn scooters everywhere.
There has been some promotion of Nashville in the California news and the local news as a cool place to move. So you might be right.
And they got tech. They got techs. They're saddling up tech over there.
Well, there's a lot of tech over there already.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of our Tennesseans are all dudes named Ben.
Dolly Parton has got to be full of tech. There's no other way she could be walking around.
Yeah, she's all teched up.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's all there is.
Okay, these are our executive and associate executive producers for episode 1075. Now, you can proudly display that title anywhere that titles are recognized. We suggest you do it. We've seen a lot of success, people looking for gigs, all kinds of jobs. You get a lot of interest. People will search you, will look at you on the LinkedIn. And above all, know that you have contributed enormous value to the best podcasting universe. And it's the only way we keep the show running. We have more people to thank, $50 and above in our second segment. And a reminder that Thursday we will be back doing it once again right here on the No Agenda Show. Support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Very nice. You can do more of those little percussion bits. Oh, and spread the word.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, Slade! Yay! Shut up, Slade!
I do have a Jung quote of the day.
Jung?
Carl
Jung?
Yes, I was reviewing some Jung, and it turns out he has some good things to say.
Well, he's always had a few quips.
Here, and this is kind of with the wat je zegt ben jezelf met je kop door de helft. Everything, which means you are what you accuse others of.
Yes, the classic.
Here's Jung. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. All right.
I guess it's kind of this. It has a similar
thing. But I just liked it. It's like, yeah, nice. Fits in. There's an interesting little video thing they do over at the Euro Parliament TV. They got their own TV station. See, we have C-SPAN where we just cover stuff. It's pretty boring. But there they have produced packages and little updates. Euroland, coming from Brussels. They got produced packages, and they let you know what's changing.
Well, we do the same thing. Only we use it do it through the networks and kind of hide the fact.
We try exactly
that it's government.
Yeah, we let them pretend they made
it's called CBS.
Yeah, they just put a different sticker on it. It's fine. So they're a little more honest, and something very interesting caught my attention in this in the most recent overview of what the Euro Parliament is working on.
MEPs voted for cars on European roads to be cleaner. By 2030, car makers will have to cut their fleet-wide CO2 emissions by 40%. On-demand platforms will have to feature a 30% quota of European content. New rules on audiovisual media will also protect children from violent content and apply stricter rules on advertising.
Oh my. Ruh-roh, Netflix. So they're doing the French thing. That on-demand platforms will be mandated to have 30% European content.
Can they even produce that much?
No way, and it'll suck. However, this presents...
You can have it. It doesn't mean that, you can have the content. Doesn't mean...
Right.
You can room on the servers.
You're not thinking straight.
Okay.
This is an opportunity to make some cheap-ass, shitty European content and sell it to Netflix, who needs it.
Yeah, some crummy EU films.
And how do you even go about doing this? So you look at the entire library Netflix has. 30% of that entire library has to be produced in the European Union. How about Amazon, which has every movie and TV show known to man almost? That's also going to have to now be 30%? And how do you police that? How do you track it? Is it just what is offered? I mean, I think this is huge. This is a huge change.
Well, how much stuff do you think we could crank out if we put together a little production group and some writers to write some really crappy plays?
I mean, I think we can probably crank out 10 episodes a week.
I don't think we can do that much production.
Well, no one said how long it has to be. It's, it can just be a short.
I think when they analyze the 30%, it's going to be required to be 30% of the total time of content.
Well, time. I don't know if they're doing it by title, amount of titles, or by time. No, it can't
be doing it by title. Then you just do a bunch of 5-minute things.
That's where I was going.
No, they're not going to put up with that. They're going to see through that bull crap.
It's so odd, you know. So I don't understand how.
I got an idea. How about this? So you're thinking differently than I'm just starting to think.
Yeah, I'm commercial.
I'm thinking the way Andy Warhol used to do movies.
Yes, The Factory.
Well, Warhol used to, for example, one of his movies is a 24-hour movie, which chews up a lot of time. It's a 24-hour movie of a camera just positioned to watch the Empire State Building for 24 hours. That's it.
It's content.
Movie's over.
But I don't understand, how does this fit in with the multicultural globalist society? Don't we also need at least 10% Arabic? I mean, this is coming down Broadway. You can see it happening. And maybe that's our angle.
Well, that will be in the future.
Maybe that's our angle. We go and we say, listen, we need to represent the entire population of the European Union. We need Arabic programming. We feel it should. Now, let's look at Sweden. 3 million of the 30 million. It's about 10%. So 10% should be Arabic. And we just go and produce that.
I'm liking the idea of the stationary camera.
Because with Arabic, no one will want to finance it. So we're guaranteed to get subsidies from the same European Union mandating this 10% that we're going to force on them.
We can do it. We can start a studio.
If Obama can do it.
We have to have the studio that has to be located in the EU. So you have to put the Netherlands as you've got the context.
Easy.
Yeah,
it's
put
done.
a place up
it's
there.
Done. I got a couple of Moroccan buddies. They can be hosts.
Oh, perfect.
And we just do GoPros on their helmets as they're going by liquidating people. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that. So the Brazil's got a big election coming up, and they got this fascist. I don't know what he is. There's the Trump of Brazil, they call him, but in fact, even Glenn Greenwald doesn't think so. He's just this new guy, and everyone's all freaked out about it. Nobody, of course, is covering it in the United States except Democracy Now! Because they do actually cover more international news than the networks do. Even though they don't really cover anything, they just read from some report. They read from a wire. But they actually discuss this a little bit. This is so we can keep up. So we show we're international. The show is the Brazilian elections.
Black people, the indigenous, and the LGBT community and women have conquered so far. He represents a threat to democracy in our country, a democracy that we are still building.
Joining us in Rio de Janeiro's Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Glenn Greenwald, who co-founded The Intercept. Glenn, welcome back to Democracy Now! Can you talk about the significance of what is happening right now in Brazil, and particularly on Sunday, the election?
To begin with, the significance is that Brazil is a country of 210 million people, so it's the fifth most populous country in the world, right behind the United States, the second largest in the hemisphere and the most influential in all of Latin America. It's also the seventh largest economy in the world with major oil reserves. And what the Western media has often been doing in talking about Bolsonaro is calling him Brazil's Trump, which drastically and radically understates the case. He's much closer to, say, Duterte in the Philippines or even General Sisi in Egypt, both in terms of Trump, what he intends to do and wants to do, and what he's able to do, given the fragility of Brazil, which is an extremely young democracy that exited a military dictatorship only 33 years ago, and therefore doesn't have the same kind of institutions to limit what someone would want to do the way, say, the United States or the UK would. So it's an extremely dangerous moment for this country. Polls do show that he's unlikely to win in the first round on Sunday, but there is a possibility that he could actually just get 50% of the vote and avoid a runoff entirely. But even if he does make the runoff, the signs are really showing that he's likely to win against Lula's handpicked successor because of how much animus has been built up by the media and the business class toward PT in this country.
Before we continue, I just got a text from Horowitz, and he says, Brazilian stock markets like this guy a lot. So just for context.
And can you talk more about just exactly what Bolsonaro represents, his homophobic comments, his anti-women comments, his support of the Brazilian military dictatorship?
And, you can go through the whole list of shocking comments. He once said in an interview that he would rather hear that his son died in a car accident than hear that his son is gay. He told a colleague in the lower house of Congress, where he served for 30 years, when she accused him of defending torture and rape, which he did during the dictatorship, that she need not worry because, in his words, she didn't deserve to be raped by him, meaning that she was too ugly to deserve and merit his rape. There's a whole slew of comments like that about black people, about the indigenous. But the much more worrying aspect are not these kind of comments, but the policies that he is explicitly endorsing. His model for how he wants to deal with crime are the world's worst dictators. People like Pinochet, he's advocated that we do things like in the Philippines, where we just send the military and the police to just indiscriminately slaughter whoever they think is a drug dealer or a criminal without trials. He believes in military rule. He doesn't regard the military coup of 1964 and the 21-year resulting military dictatorship as a coup or as a dictatorship. He regards it as something noble and wants to replicate it.
So this is one of our guys, apparently. Must be. If the stock market's like him.
Now that you mention it, there's some element of that, yeah.
Yeah, so we got to look into it. The stock market
would be booming.
Yeah, we got to look into this guy, see what's happening. Yeah, it's sad.
It's not like he's a new guy. It's Bolsonaro. It's Bolsonaro.
No, he's been around. Yeah, he's been
around, and he does make the rude comments.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna be the next guy running Brazil. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they got the oils, that's for sure. They got resources.
A lot of natural resources that are.
It's just, but has it just been corruption? The reason why Brazil has such a large percentage of the population is just completely impoverished is because of corruption. Because it seems like they got a pretty rich country, or rich in resources, and it's just too many people. What is the problem there? Or what is the problem? Come on, Uncle John.
They like to party.
They party too much. Damn Brazilians. That's a good enough answer.
And the funny thing is, any Brazilian who's listening to that comment will say, he's right about that.
He's right. Nobel Peace Prize was announced. If anyone thought that Trump was actually going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, certainly at this point in the trajectory of the North Korean negotiations, well, that would have been quite foolish. But as usual, these political organizations, which is really what they are, I mean, I don't find much value. I think after they gave President Obama the Peace Prize before he was president, just because he wasn't, Bush, I guess.
Yeah, that was the low point.
Yeah, I mean that, and there's a lot of corruption in these groups.
Being one of the,
one of the
more aggressive presidents we've had.
Yeah, although I hear Trump is pretty big on the drone stuff too, but we don't really have. I don't think he has the.
Yeah, but I'm thinking Libya. And
there's a lot more.
Egypt and all that stuff.
Yeah. But I very political, and of all the things that have taken place in the world where people have fought for peace and for peaceful movements, I thought this was a pretty shallow choice, within reason, of course.
A standing ovation for Congolese Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege, who treats war rape victims in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Mukwege dedicated his award to all women affected by rape and sexual violence.
I don't see what that has to do with peace. You see, he treats rape victims, and this is the old adage of mainly soldiers going around raping women and children, just horrible things. But I don't really see how this is what he's done for peace. He's highlighted a horrible issue and he's treating people. But
at his Panzi hospital in the eastern Congolese city of Bukavu, Mukwege says the prize was an important recognition of many women's trauma. When you start counting the numbers, the millions of deaths and hundreds of thousands of women raped, then they can no longer be ignored. We cannot continue to simply count numbers. We have to start a process that will lead to the truth coming out and justice being done. The world can today draw a red line and say in armed conflicts, women should never be used as a battleground. And if anyone breaks that rule, they should be isolated from society. Nadia Murad, a Yazidi rights activist and survivor of sexual slavery by so-called Islamic State, also won the prestigious award. Nadia was 21 when in 2014 militants took her from northern Iraq and repeatedly sold her for sex. She escaped and is now an advocate for the rights of her community around the world.
So, great people, they're doing great things, but this seems like it's being used as an encouragement prize. I mean, these are not earth-shattering peace movements, or they have not necessarily brought peace to the world. Am I just overanalyzing this? It seems
I felt the same way when I heard this. They were discussing it on Democracy Now!, and I was going to take a clip, and I said, this award is pretty sketchy to begin with. And these guys, and the Congo, I mean, you don't know what's going on there.
Well, so the two things that were of interest was, one, it was kind of like a hashtag Me Too. It's the conversation of the Western world. I mean, this takes place in the Netherlands, too. They call it, they don't say hashtag, but they call it a literal Me Too moment. Hey, je hebt een Me Too momentje. That was my Dutch. So the actual term Me Too has been transported. They don't even translate it into local lingo. So it's a big political thing, which of course it's a thing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but it's always the whole thing, even this Peace Prize, all seems oriented to get Democrats to vote for Democrats.
Even the Nobel Prize Committee?
I think so, yes.
These guys are just... It
was the message about, women being raped.
I'll tell you...
And who does the raping? Republicans. What do we do about it? Vote.
If I was on the Nobel Committee, I'd give it to these guys.
This may look like a tent city, but it's actually City Field. The City Field parking lot, to be more precise, is where a couple thousand people and counting are now living. Did I mention it's a parking lot? What would cause people to come from all over the country?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
South Florida, like an hour from Miami.
To live in a makeshift campground at this stadium. It's the biggest selling boy band of all time, BTS, from South Korea.
They're all overall good people and want to do good things for the world. So that's personally for me why I love them.
On her hand, the number 2. She's second in line for more than 5,000 general admission, standing room only spots next to the stage inside the stadium. The thousands and thousands of other tickets are for seats, and they sold out in less than 10 minutes weeks ago. So these devoted general admission fans organized their numbers on a list and organized their tents. Some have been here a full week. They say it's worth it to connect with stars so appealing they were invited to speak to the world at the UN last week, and who speak to each individual fan in concert.
We feel the same issues that they're going through, and everything is just universal, and it's just really nice.
I'm telling you, these BTS kids, they should have gotten the Nobel Prize. They're actually cross-promoting love across borders and peace, and these kids don't even understand the lyrics. And how the hell does that work? The world is flipped upside down. It used to be our crazy musicians with the long hair, like the White Snake.
Hey, man.
And like Cheap Trick. Let's take Cheap Trick. And they go over to Japan and Korea and the Asian countries, and people are like, wow, we've never seen this, mind-boggling. And now our kids are blown away by, and it's very odd.
Gangnam Style.
If only it were Gangnam Style. This is
the first one, though. That's the first Korean inroad.
This music may be designed specifically for Adderall. I'm just thinking about it. I'll have to evaluate that.
And maybe there's a hidden message.
Or maybe they're just playing into it. And maybe we should learn something from that. Maybe if we just start talking really, hey, how many people do you know that listen to us on 1.5 speed or 2 times the speed, John? Lots of people do that. I wonder if those people are taking Adderall as well. They want to hear me talk really fast.
It's possible.
Yes. Okay.
Well, that reminds me that I get to play this clip.
Wait, informal poll before you play the clip. How many of you who listen to the No Agenda show on multi-factor speed, which, as you know, I'm not a fan of because I feel that you lose nuance. How many of you are either taking Adderall, Vyvanse, another amphetamine, or just a meth head. It's okay if you're that too. Just let us know.
If you're a meth head, let us know.
You know that's the opening of the show, right? All right, what's your clip?
So talking about the hidden messaging, somebody was I cut this way down because it was just some podcaster guy. I can't remember his name, and he's just showing that Dianne Feinstein had a hidden message if you played her little spiel backwards.
Wait,
you haven't heard this?
No.
Yeah, she was with when she was with Schumer, and they're talking about how they're going to vote against this guy Kavanaugh. This guy found a little segment in there where, and he played her backwards, and this is the result.
Okay, well, which clip is it? I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The CIA paid me, Feinstein. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can't wait.
So let's focus in right here. Do I need to slow it down a little bit more for you? I'm sorry, who paid you? Did I just hear the CIA paid me?
You know, there's a lot of people, there's entire theories of, and people who have, you know, kind of flesh this all out, that everyone, when you're speaking in this dimension or this universe, in an alternate universe, you are saying something else if you play it backwards. And everybody, you know, and we've done a couple of these, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah, we've done a couple. You did one once that was so off the wall, it wasn't even making any sense to me. We haven't done anything.
Hold on, here's Obama's, I think this was Obama's reverse message.
Oh, yeah, this was a classic.
Oh, that may not be it. No, that's not it. Hold on. That's someone.
The one that says Satan loves you? Is that
no, it's it was Yes We Can, I think. It was Obama reverse, maybe? Oh, yes, here we go.
Thank you, Satan.
That's Yes We Can.
Yeah, Yes We Can. It was Thank You, Satan.
Thank you, Satan. Yeah, proof right there.
I think it's probably right. I think maybe this is something. There's something going on here.
Let me listen to it again.
Let's focus in right here. Do I need to slow it down a little bit more for you? I'm sorry, who paid you? Did I just hear the CIA paid me?
Oh, this is great. Did this YouTube thing start off with, hey guys? Did it start off like that?
It's something like that. But the guy really was belaboring. I mean, this is like what I cut out of there is like out of about 20 minutes of him first playing it the one way, then the other, and then looking for it just was a long clip. But
right.
It boiled down.
I'm all in on this. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see where in an alternate universe you're saying something else that is masked in the backward masking, and it's all the work of the devil.
Well, I do know that I have the tendency occasionally to in just general commentary, to throw in an outrageously well thought out pun by accident.
Oh, that's the Lord, man.
And I do it all the time.
That's the Lord channeling.
When I do it, I'm always like, I take credit for it, but it's like, no, I'm just it's like hitting the billiard balls and hoping they go in.
All right. Well, then, just as a little entremont, this is from Country Music Television. There's a show now about girls becoming cheerleaders for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's been yeah.
Well, this is the level. Maybe she's saying something backward too.
For me stuttering and going blank, and it's not that I don't know anything that's going on. Of course, there are topics though that I'm not going to be as educated on. I'm now working on, if there is like a topic that comes up that I'm not as versed on, that I can have the tools to better handle that situation.
I was kind of curious, how do you consume your news?
I use Instagram, but you know that Instagram is not like news.
Do you have TV, radio?
Actually, no, ma'am.
You definitely need to consume more news. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for your own sake.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the coach. Yeah, you need some consumer news.
So she consumes her news from Instagram,
and what she needs is the Smart News app.
Smart News.
I was only watching news I agreed with.
I was only getting news from social media.
Now, I use Smart News.
It has news from all sides. I trust Smart News. Download Smart News for free today.
I like that. I trust Smart News.
Now, that girl sounded a lot like Miss South Carolina.
Oh, this I don't know. I don't know what her name is.
This is a clip that I keep making you play over and over again. This is the Miss Junior Miss or whatever it is. The South Carolina. See if you can find it. It could be either SC or South Carolina, where she's answering this stupid question about why can't most Americans find, anything on a map. And she gives this idiotic answer.
South Carolina, it is your turn. South Carolina, go ahead, pick your card. All right, let's see who you got. Judge number 9, Christina Milian, please give us your question.
Should people who leak classified documents in the name of public information be charged with treason?
No, this is the wrong one.
That's the wrong Miss South Carolina. Well, that's all the South Carolinas I got for you. Was that a different year?
Well, there should be another one there because I resubmitted it and we played it a few weeks ago.
Was it with the on guns? I have one of her on guns.
No. Just look for SC. See if there's anything SC or Miss.
Yeah,
Miss
I did
MISS.
I did Miss SC, and I've got Miss A Q&A SC on guns and why she lost out.
No, try South Carolina then. Just straight
I did
up.
that. That's where I got the other one. We don't have it.
Sorry. I didn't label it properly once again.
That's right. That's what you get. It's probably.
But we do, since we're going to have just kind of dummies, I will want to play this. This is the Orrin Hatch clip from the Kavanaugh hearings. I know I'm back trying to get these out of the way. But this was Hatch. Orrin Hatch apparently, was rolling his eyes, and he's quitting. He's retiring. I think he's a questionable character anyway. But he decided to plow through the gaggle of complainers. Yeah. And then he got in the elevator. And in the process, he told him to grow up, which got him just triggered.
That triggered a lot of people.
Among those arrested was comedian and actress Amy Schumer. Also protesting was a group of women who confronted Utah Republican Senator Orrin Hatch as he sped into an elevator, challenged him over his support for Kavanaugh. Senator Hatch told the women to grow up, waving them off as he boarded an elevator in the Hart Building.
Why aren't you brave enough to talk to us and exchange it with us? Don't you wave your hand at me. I wave my hand at you.
When you grow up, Robinson.
When I grow up, we grow up. I grow up. How dare you talk to women that way? How dare you? That first, how dare you?
Yeah, and these girls looked like they were 12. I know, but that's the attitude. That's the attitude.
How dare you? I wave my hand at you. You can't wave your hand at me.
This is all going horribly wrong. This
is great.
It's going horribly, horribly wrong everywhere. This is not a world to live in anymore.
Here, I have a clip that just says enraged woman. This must be good. It's only 12 seconds.
These men sitting in office, they have no fucking idea.
They have no fucking idea.
How dare they vote when they have no idea?
No idea of what?
They have no idea.
Just got no idea. Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to do with that.
I have a couple of odd clips. apparently this Russian hack thing is like getting completely out of control.
Which Russian hack? Because
here, play the more Russians indicted. Listen to this, is just making no sense to me.
Meanwhile, the Justice Department has indicted 7 Russian agents for conspiring to hack the computers of anti-doping officials who uncovered a massive ring of state-sponsored cheating by athletes ahead of the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
U.S. Attorney Scott Brady said Thursday the 7 agents have ties to GRU, Russia's military intelligence body. He said they went on to attempt hacks against other targets.
They targeted Westinghouse, a nuclear power company based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that supplied nuclear fuel to the Ukraine.
With those port scans.
They targeted the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons,
port scan,
which was investigating the use of chemical weapons in Syria and the poisoning of a former GRU officer and his daughter in the UK. And they targeted a lab in Switzerland that analyzed the nerve agent used in that poisoning.
Okay, hold on, because I have a clip that goes with this one. This is kind of important. Let me just get that last bit here. This piece here.
They targeted the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons.
Yeah, that is the OPCW. And it's interesting that you got this clip, but not really the follow-up, because this is pretty big news in the lowlands, certainly in the...
I have the lowlands clip.
Oh, I have one from the BBC.
Well, okay, mine is the WTF clip, because this is a very strange clip.
Okay, well, I'll play mine. We may have the same one, I don't know, but this is about these Russians who were not just hacking. They had, and there's photos and all kinds of stuff. There was a big press conference. The Dutch intelligence services captured a bunch of Russians who were sitting there in their car near the OPCW, and they had Wi-Fi sniffers and all kinds of stuff.
It was here in April of this year that 4 Russians were detained. They were stopped in this hotel car park with a boot full of surveillance gear. Just next door is the headquarters for the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. At the time, the OPCW was investigating chemical attacks in Syria and also, crucially, the poisoning of Sergei Skripal in Salisbury with nerve agents.
I have to say, whenever I hear an outfit like the BBC do a news report, and this is a news report, but it's produced with scary music, it's no longer a news report. This is propaganda of some sort. We don't know exactly what it is other than to make the Russians look like a bunch of dicks. But why would you produce this with this spy thriller suspense music under it as the BBC News?
The first surprising thing about this is the fact that anyone's talking about it at all. Normally, counter-espionage operations, the catching of spies, is something that's done in secret. But today, we had a press conference with photographs being released from the Dutch government of the 4 Russian individuals. But the idea was to put more pressure on the GRU about their activities.
They think that we're just going to lie down and accept that. They're wrong, and there will be consequences.
It's also surprising the way that the Russians were alleged to be trying to carry out their surveillance. They were doing what's called close access, which involved parking a car in this hotel car park and then using an antenna to capture some of the communication signals going over Wi-Fi. The Russians again seem to have been very aggressive but also quite sloppy. One of them was carrying a taxi receipt for his trip from the GRU base in Moscow to the airport in Russia, from which he left in order to fly here for the operation.
Ah, the music is just great.
Well, this is a very similar clip, but it's from Democracy Now!, but it does emphasize the same facts. But listen to this clip.
The Dutch Defense Ministry says counterintelligence officials broke up a hacking attempt by the Russians as they attempted to break into a Marriott hotel Wi-Fi from a parking lot in The Hague. The Dutch said the Russians had a receipt which showed they took a taxi ride from the headquarters of the GRU, Russia's military intelligence service, to Moscow's main airport. Russia's rejected the indictments, calling them part of a disinformation campaign.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay, let's start off with one thing.
Just kind of like the passport on 9/11, you know, like...
Well, I don't even think it's that. The guy has a taxi receipt. You have to keep your receipts. He's probably got the same bureaucratic crap at the GRU.
Boris.
What are you charging here for this taxi ride? Where's the receipt?
Boris, where is the receipt?
So it's not like Russia. Oh, they're so crude over there; they don't need taxi receipts. So he kept his receipt in his wallet, and so that became the center of attention. Some guy's receipt for a taxi ride
because it's proof that he took a cab from the GRU headquarters. This is also kind of like making them look like the dumbest spies in history. There's a lot going on here. So it's kind of like finding the hijacker's Muhammad Atta's passport completely unscathed. We have this proof of who perpetrated this evil crime. And this got so crazy that there was some problems with the trains on, I think, Friday. And the Netherlands, as we know, always has problems with their trains. If you ever are in the Dutch train and they say, we have a problem with the electrical, what do you call it, John? This above the train, the electrical
wires.
Did you just call it the electrical wires? It doesn't have a...
I don't know.
It has a name in Dutch, the bovenleiding. So whenever they say, we have a problem, there's a technical problem with the wires, that is code for someone committed suicide and jumped onto the tracks. And it happens a lot, at least once a day. But now there was some problems with the trains, and just stuff was blinking. The Dutch train system has a 50-year history of problems. And people immediately started tweeting, Russians have hacked into the train system.
This other thing about, let's go back to this taxi receipt. You've been all over the world. I've been all over the world. When you get a taxi receipt, does it tell you where you left? Have you ever seen a taxi say, left a hotel burn?
No, typically the guy will give it to you blank, hoping that you will give him a bigger tip for the sham you're about to pull on your employer.
That would be very common.
Interesting. Well, maybe that's
so now, but this taxi receipt, for some reason, despite government regulations, I'm sure, it says specifically it's from the GRU headquarters to the airport.
Did it even have the letters GRU HQ?
Do you think that the GRU would allow this sort of thing? It's like you can track people. This is bull crap.
Although these days, absolutely, Uber not only knows where they pick me up and drop me off, they got a map. It gets sent to me. It's copied to the IRS. Everyone knows where you're going.
I don't think Uber's running too much of an operation, and I don't think the GRU is using Uber.
Well, that would make it
a bogus story.
That would make it that much better if they had taken an Uber.
Funnier.
Yeah, it does sound like a big bunch of bull crap.
Now, the other big story that's floating around, and has been floating around, is this. Actually, there's two of them. One is, and Pence had a speech recently where he brought this issue up, and I think they're trying to. I'm not sure that any of this is true, or if it's.
Oh yeah. I agree with you.
Pence about China's out to hack us.
The American people deserve to know. In response to the strong stand that President Trump has taken, Beijing is pursuing a comprehensive and coordinated campaign to undermine support for the president, our agenda, and our nation's most cherished ideals.
Pence's warning to Beijing comes amidst a growing U.S.-China trade war and as the Pentagon's reportedly planning a massive show of force in November with warships and planes set to carry out exercises near China's territorial waters in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait.
Oh, I totally believe that's happening. And so that's what they're equating to a meddling in the election is by showing up around election time and looking like dicks?
I'm not sure. Yeah, probably.
Because now this does tie in, I believe, in a way to this story that kind of got legs, but isn't really jumping to the forefront about the mini chip.
I have a clip for that too.
Yeah, I want to talk about this for a second because I have some thoughts about it. What you want? Super micro. Yeah, this is interesting.
Bloomberg is reporting China inserted microchips into servers used by major tech companies such as Apple and Amazon that give backdoor access to data. The minuscule grain of rice-sized chip would allow hackers to bypass security and remotely access the networks of these companies. Both Apple and Amazon are denying the claims in the report.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, this was discovered years ago. This is not something new, correct?
I don't know the details of the discovery, but I do have some thoughts on the about this sort of thing because I've worked with people back in. I remember in the 80s, George Morrow used to bitch about this with a Korean subcontractor. He had come up with this very interesting little Zenith product that was a laptop, and it almost cost him his company because they had it manufactured overseas, and it was a very lightweight machine, one of the early ones.
And which machine was this?
It was a little Zenith portable DOS machine.
Oh, it was running DOS or CP/M?
It was DOS. No, this is all DOS by this time. And I believe, I think it was long after CP/M. And yeah, no, it was DOS. And so but the machine was a turd when it came back. And Morrow was one of these guys who would design his own kind of screwball circuits that it would, be kind of miraculous. He was something of a genius in that regard. And so they couldn't figure out why this machine, and Zenith was all bent out of shape about a thing being no good. So he examined the motherboard, and they had changed a bunch of chips on it. And he had to,
one of our knights was running a big program at Apple for that. Remember the trash can Mac?
Yeah.
And he would have to go to China all the time because they would do the exact same thing. They'd all of a sudden they send it with just a different chip than the spec called for, just something just to Apple, which is
outrageous. And so Morrow finally got a hold of the engineers, and he was told that they looked at I don't know why they just produce it the way they're supposed to, but they said that apparently they get involved. And they looked at it and said, "Oh, this circuit doesn't make any sense." So let's just bypass it and take that circuit out and do this. Right. And so they did. And of course, the machine didn't work right. And I believe that they just constantly do. They're meddlers. They meddle. Oh, we're going to help you. This is a way of helping you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have here. Unless somebody can show me how this chip works and prove this argument that it's some sort of spy chip.
Now, I had a different thought about this. And I'm looking for the article. I can't find it, but I believe this was discovered quite a while ago. For some reason, it's just now coming to light, and everyone's denying that this has affected them. I see no reason to believe that it wouldn't have been our own intelligence agencies who put this in. That would make a lot more sense, particularly into Google and Facebook servers. Why wouldn't it be in there from them? Why blame the Chinese?
Well, unless I don't even know that the chip does anything that is
I'd like a teardown. I mean, someone has this chip somewhere.
That's what I'm wondering. What is the chip? It's got to be some sort of a known chip.
I mean,
you just don't. You can't make a little submicron product, just in your backyard. It's just the whole story seems sketchy, and I think it may be part of this Pence comment about the Chinese trying to hack the elections and trying to get everyone off the scent of the lack of scent of the Russians. I have no idea. This just seems like a phony baloney thing. And Bloomberg, I don't trust them at all.
Well, for sure. The only thing I can think to add to this is that I've received so many notes after our multiple series conversation about Chinese tourists and how they are rude and where that comes from culturally. There's a lot of different theories and ideas, but everyone pretty much agrees, yeah, they're rude. They're also proud of stealing, often, certainly if it's stealing from non-Chinese entities. And this is one of for me, the first population that I actually look at and say, you know what? We may really be incompatible. And they're just dicks. And they probably think we're dicks. So, and that presents a problem because they really have a lot of integration with us on, technology, finance, sovereign finance. But I think Chinese, I know it sounds xenophobic and bigoted, but they just may be dicks. No, I mean, that's their culture.
Culture of dicks.
And I'm sure they think we're dicks too. So yeah, we're messing with them reasonably hard right now. What they're doing in the South China Sea and near Japan. This is insane. And I think in that regard, Trump is correct. No one has ever just said, hey, cut it out. We're all just like, oh, let's look at what we're monitoring the situation. They built entire bases.
Yeah.
And that's an important...
Yeah, they haven't had that happen. They haven't had anyone tell them to stop.
I really hope we don't get some kind of kinetic thing going on there, because that's not going to be pretty. But this is to say that, hey, they're trying to rig our election. Of course, you immediately think, trying to distract away from the Russians. This is why, and from a PR standpoint, it's just a stupid thing to say, or at least to say, did they use the word meddle? They used the exact same.
It was Pence going on about it.
Well, Pence would know.
I like metal.
Like metal. All right. Let's do this.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
I want to start off by thanking, hold on a second. I want to thank a couple in Hawaii. They sent me a box. This was Sabrina Coddington, and I think her husband's name is, I can't read I think it's Christoph or Christopher, but his handwriting is illegible. But aloha, my husband has been a fan of your show for the past couple of years. I enjoy seeing how happy he gets after listening to your show. He won't be happy if I can't pronounce his name. Hearing the stories we hope you enjoy and all the Hawaiian gifts. So he sent me the two of them sent me a box of a bunch of cornball Hawaiian products. If you
a lot of hula skirt stuff.
Well, no, it's mostly books on how to speak Pidgin English and a lot of stuff with macadamia nuts in it. It's actually kind of a nice gift. He wants his family to ask for some major family baby surgery karma for a newborn, Emmett. That's not good.
Well, let's hand it out now then.
Yeah.
You've got karma.
And he sent a long note explaining it. But I want to thank them for sending this. And his wife is this really had a little flyer because she's apparently a singer. She does like events, and she's just gorgeous. Oh, so he's a lucky guy.
Oh, very nice.
Anyway,
now was there anything for me in this care package or just for you?
I guess I should give you half of it.
Okay.
Rebecca Waters starts off today, or actually, let's start off with Craig Lawton with $100 from Mitcham, Victoria, Australia. He's been listening for 6 months, and he's making it clear that the mention B illness is global.
He says, my wife and I ditched Facebook on our phones recently. Twitter is next. Too much madness. Recently hit my brother in the mouth. He lives in New York City. Unfortunately, he wasn't keen on listening to Trump apologists. He's my younger brother, so I'll just keep hitting him until he gets it, and we'll give them a little de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
New York's tough. Has got the daily news. It's just a bunch of Trump hate. I mean, the whole town is a mess. Rebecca Waters, $100.
This is Rebecca, who is with Jeffrey Tuhig.
Yeah.
And she's thanks for contributing to our sanity. Congrats on the engagement. Yes, please stream the wedding. You and John keep us sane and laughing. Please give Jeffrey Tuhig some jobs karma. It's rough out there. We'll put that at the end for sure.
Sir Andrew Gussick, NC4 AG, 73s. And he's in a ship at sea. 73s from a ship at sea.
Oh.
And he wants to wish his brother a happy birthday and speedy back recovery. He's got a thing on there. He's on the list.
I wonder if he used the WINS network to send this email.
I don't know. He should have told us. We need details. Ian Odom in Weed, California, 8080. Odom is, yes, I got that, I think, is the correct pronunciation. Since you seem to mispronounce wrong again, I think it was autumn last time. I know how to pronounce Odom. There's a couple basketball players. Laura Willems, parts unknown, another 8008 boob donation.
Now, Laura, hold on a second. Laura is donating for her husband. I think we need to, let me just double check. I think we need to read this because this is, yes, her husband Billy gets knighted today, so I'll take this. Happy birthday to my husband Billy. Love ya, Laura. Quite a few years ago, my husband started listening to the No Agenda show. I could hear it playing as in the garage when he was working on cars, tools, drones, etc. On a rare date night, we would listen to it in the car. Jeez, man, this is not a way to get laid. That's what date night is all about. At first, I didn't get it and wanted to wash out Adam's mouth with soap, but I did enjoy the jingles. I even started asking him what John and Adam had to say about certain events, but I never listened on my own. Finally, after a trip to Vegas and enjoying the show on the car ride there, I started listening on my own. I learned it by watching you, okay? I cannot thank you all enough for what you do. I've watched my own mother become so far entrenched in Dimension B that she has spent the last 15 years of her life miserable and hateful because all she does is listen to MSM 24/7 and believe it all. What I learned on your show keeps me from losing my mind when talking to her. Another family relationship saved. Woohoo! Anyway, on to the donation. My husband would make a donation every now and then, but wasn't consistent. I enrolled under my name, Laura, for the $4 a week subscription. Thank you. And then would do a random donation periodically. This year, I added the subscription for $20.18 a month. Today, I make a boob donation, his favorite, in honor of his 56th birthday on the 7th of October. As I look at the spreadsheet, I realized that we had more than enough for one night in the family, so I would like to surprise him for his birthday with the boob donation and knighthood. Now, I don't know what he wants for his name. I'm guessing Sir Turbo, and I don't know what he wants at the round table, so I'm going to have to follow up with an email and his request. I also will be sending another email with the accounting attached, as I can't access it right now. Okay. Without him seeing me and have him send this. I want to send. So it was a surprise.
Surprise! Surprise!
Surprise! Hey, surprise! That's very nice. Yeah, he's on the list. Of course he is. Yes. That's so sweet. From Laura to Billy. That is beautiful. And way to go. Risky move, Billy. Trying to hit her in the mouth on date night. Risky move.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, listen to these two guys. They're a turn on, man.
Hey, are you turned on yet? We are the Viagra of podcasting right here.
There you go. Must be. Sir Herb Lamb, happy 11th anniversary. He says he came in with a boob donation, 8008. Richard Hufford in Tempe, Arizona, another boob donation of 8008. Bill Johnson, 67, and it's happy birthday to his beautiful wife, Jennifer. She apparently got into the show after she used to be an eye roller, I guess, when she listened to the show. She's still kind of not quite.
You know, this show
not quite fixed.
No, but we're bringing families together.
We try, Sir John, or bringing them apart. Sometimes reality.
Hey, sometimes you got to rip the Band-Aid off, people.
Sir John Fitzpatrick in Heber Springs, Arkansas, 6006 small boob. Avinash Persad in Atlanta, in Port St. Lucie in Florida, 6006. Dave, just plain Dave, 5510 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Thanks, Dave.
Stephen Casomeni, maybe. Victoria, BC, 5440. Michael Gates, 5280. David Corbenou, parts unknown.
Yeah, he sent us a very long email about how ICE really works and what they can and can't do and why there's problems with these arrests. And I'm still parsing it because there's a lot to go through, but it is very good. So we received
we'll probably read it later.
And Dave, I think Dave also did the mix for today's show.
And he came in with 5033 and gave us a mix and a memo. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee, 50. The following people are all $50 donors, name and location, if I have the location. Brittany Fiffner, 50. Her husband used a huge job. Okay, we're going to give him a job karma at the end.
Okay.
Todd Moore in Arlington, Virginia. Andrew Martin in Sydney, New South Wales. Victor Munoz in Brandon, Mississippi.
No, Victor's in Miami.
Oh.
Miami.
Yes, he is. Victor Munoz is in Miami. It's Joseph Pumphrey who's in Brandon, Mississippi. David Schlesinger in Rosemont, Illinois. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. Anthony Sammons in Augusta, GA. Heather Rodriguez in Stockton, California. Sir Brett Farrell in Oklahoma City. Sir Alan Bean over here in Oaktown, Oakland, California. And last but not least, Jason DeLuzio in Chadsford, Pennsylvania. I want to thank all these folks for producing show 1075, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking, because it does strike me a little bit, these relationships and people turning them on to the show and them coming together, coming closer. And I'm thinking, if you can schedule date night with the live stream, I mean, you can really lather up your partner when you hear John playing the recorder before we do the show. And can we put relationship therapist on our business card now?
You can put anything you want. My next business card is going to be ancient astronaut theorist, which is my absolute favorite title of late.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Yes, my life passes before my very eyes as we have another birthday segment. It is the 7th of October, 2018, and we give out a belated birthday to Ian Odom, and we have more birthdays. In fact, we have Brandon Whitehead, who says happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Stephanie. She turns 29 on October 9th. Laura Williams, as we heard, happy birthday to her husband, Billy, 56 today. Bill Johnson, happy birthday to his beautiful wife, Jennifer, also celebrating today. Sir Andrew Gusek says happy birthday to his brother, November Charlie 4 Romeo Golf, Sir Bob of the dude's name Ben, and he celebrated on the 2nd and turned 31, Dave Corbanou. Happy birthday from all you buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. It's your birthday, yeah. And yes, then we have one knighting, of course. This is, I'll get my blade there. This is for Billy. Blade.
Sorry, here it is.
Got it. All right, Billy Willems, come on up here on the podium right next to the lectern. Wow, man, you have got one fantastic partner in life, my friend. As she has brought you here to the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames, and I am very proud to pronounce-icate the Sir Turbo, Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. For you, we have still stuff to fill in, but also hookers and blow, red boys and Chardonnay, crawfish and cane breaks, bourbon and bong rips, onion rings and ice cream, brown cheese and aquavit and smalahova, harlots and haldo, pepperoni rolls and pale ales, redheads and ryes, beers and blunts, bong hits and bourbon, vodka and vanilla, geishas and sake, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, and mutton and mead. It's a date night favorite. So head on over to noagendanation.com/rings. Give Eric the Shill your dimensions, your girth, and he'll get the ring off to you as soon as possible. Make sure you tweet something out when you're done. Really appreciate that. And thank you all for supporting the No Agenda show and our value for value model. The only way the show keeps on going, and of course, thanks to everybody who came in under $50, which they do for anonymity, but a lot of people signing up for our sustaining subscriptions, 1111s, 1212s, was a number of different ones, 33s, all very powerful numbers. Check them out at Dvorak.org/NA. Let me see. Yes, there's some movement, some stuff going on with Turkey and Germany, and it's not really being covered very well, but I got this report from...
Not at all.
Not at all, yes.
Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is in Germany meeting Chancellor Angela Merkel. The two countries have clashed over human rights and Turkey's economy, over which Mr. Erdogan has exercised increasing political control.
And also, the EU pays Erdogan to not let the refugees leave Turkey into Europe.
The BBC's Jenny Hill is covering the visit.
central Berlin has been completely sealed off. I'm at a roadblock just around the corner from the Brandenburg Gate. There are police officers everywhere, bemused tourists at the cordon looking on at police armoured vehicles and rooftop snipers around the luxury Adlon Hotel, where a very controversial guest is staying. Recep Erdogan has come with high expectations. He wants to reset the relationship between Ankara and Berlin. It's strained, due in part to his penchant for jailing critics and journalists with German passports. So perhaps it's no wonder that few senior politicians will attend a state banquet due to be held in his honour at the presidential palace not far from here. Angela Merkel and many of her ministers won't be at the dinner. Mrs. Merkel, of course, will meet with him 3 times, in fact. Mr. Erdogan needs her help and support. His economy is struggling and he's fallen out with Donald Trump. But the relationship matters to her too. 3 million people of Turkish origin live in Germany. Many support him. Then there's a trading relationship. And a deal between Turkey and the EU has helped to reduce migration. Mr. Erdogan says he wants closer ties.
It's pretty interesting how they just gloss over that in this report.
It's a buyout.
Then there's a trading relationship. And a deal between Turkey and the EU has helped to reduce migration.
Now, the biggest... Let me just finish the report. Hold on.
Mr. Erdogan says he wants closer ties for what he says is the sake of prosperity and the future of both countries. Mrs. Merkel may agree with him, but given her own diminishing power and the contempt in which Mr. Erdogan is held by many here, her welcome will be a cautious one.
So what's the play here? I mean, is the lira still in a spiral? Is it just out of control?
Stabilized low.
Okay, so they did stabilize.
But, when you have a when the currencies collapse like that, this is the opportunity for exporting because it means everything's cheap.
Very cheap. But what do they export? Drugs.
Oh, they export. Well, they export some minerals, drugs. I know this for a fact. They have some of the best glass blowing factories and glass manufacturing in the world.
Oh, we need to take a trip.
And the funny thing is, I'll bet you we start to see it Cost Plus and some of these. Crate and Barrel. But you're
going to have all kinds of deals on. And
you see a lot of Turkish glassware.
Yes, and rugs.
You'll see it out of the blue.
Rugs.
Rugs, that's another thing they have lots of. That's for sure.
Yeah, rugs.
They could drain the country of its rugs.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but again, the opportunity is just beckoning us, John. Glass and rugs.
I'd want to become an import-export guy or dealing with the Turks. They're very hard sell style. This really doesn't fit in with American taste.
Hookahs do.
Well, yeah, but I don't know what kind of a business that is.
Hookah bars. We got a couple in Austin.
Smoke.
Hookah bars are actual. That's a pretty popular thing now.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Do you have a hookah bar there in Austin?
I think we have 3.
You got, I don't know of one. There probably is one around here, but I don't know.
There's in your neck of the woods. Yeah, there's tons of hookah bars.
Huh?
You should go and investigate.
I don't care to.
Okay.
I think they're pretentious. I think a hookah's pretentious.
Pretentious.
I mean, it's just a glorified bong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't use a bong.
I use a hookah.
I use a hookah. We imported it from Turkey.
Hey, Brexit. Now, whenever you really want to get something done or I would say in the 80s, 90s, a little bit of the 2000s, if you wanted to get something done, you brought in the big guns. So we really need to reconsider this Brexit thing. We got all kinds of problems. Who do you bring in? Who's the big gun in the UK if you really want to change hearts and minds?
Boris Johnson.
Close. Bob Geldof, of course. Sir Bob.
It's twofold. One is the income it generates for this country, 94 billion, bringing into the country. Contrast that with the NHS total spend of 115 billion, almost the same. This will be critically damaged. The second reason is cultural. The voice of Britain, the genuine global Britain voice, is our music. It has been since the Beatles, the greatest cultural influencers of the 20th century. No one knows quite why this tiny island produces such vast reservoirs of talent, but we do know that the entire planet dances, eats, sleeps, and plays hard to our noise. That's the sound of genuine global Britain, and that has been endangered by a recklessness which is existential and historically self-damaging.
So apparently, in order to save the national health care system, we need to stay within the EU so the almost equal amount of revenue that comes in from the music business can save all the sick people. Bullshit. What is wrong with him?
I don't know what can't make heads or tails of this.
Precisely. I mean, how does this play? And I mean, what is he serious about I mean, yeah, we've had the Beatles. Thanks, it was great. You know, hey, Paul McCartney's here. You can have him back. I'm not so sure that that Britain has been all that important. I mean, yeah, we had an important wave in the 60s and 70s.
Well, I will say this:
has he heard K-pop or not?
He probably has. But there's something that needs to be kind of discussed, I think, on a bigger, like on a global level.
Ooh.
Which is, you want to have all these, you want these for trade, for the purposes of trade and only trade. You want these big alliances, and then you can make better deals. But if you look at the history of Europe in particular, the littler countries, the small countries, the EU, the UK, and there are the islands there, and then you have Sweden. Individually, when they were kind of not isolated, but more isolated than they are today, Sweden used to have 2 aircraft manufacturing companies and 2 or 3 car companies and a truck company. I mean, they would have all these operations. Now they're all bought out by, because of globalism, they've been bought out by the Chinese and the Indians, and Saab, I think, has been the car company's been shuttered.
Yeah, done.
GM owned them for a while, and they couldn't make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And the Great Britain is the same way. They had Jaguar and Bentley and Rolls-Royce.
It's all BMW now, isn't it?
Well, they're owned by the BMW and Volkswagen. Yeah. I think Volkswagen owns Rolls-Royce, and BMW, I think, owns Bentley, or the other way around. But they don't own Rover. I think they're still maybe independent, but probably not. I mean, when these countries were by themselves and doing their own thing, they could do all these fabulous things, including the British invasion for the music scene, which Geldof kind of refers to.
Yes.
But now that they're all global, the global thing just takes all the life out of it.
Sucks the air out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So would somebody explain that to me?
Now, the only thing they have really that is global is their actors. They're actors. That is the engine of of Hollywood, because they add credibility to what's going on, to what the drivel we're producing. So you got to have
we can suck up actors like there's no tomorrow. But in fact, a lot of the British actors, and many of the better ones, are really British, and they work on the stage, and they do a lot of stuff you'd see over there, you won't see over here necessarily. And when they come over here just for a shot at it, they
come over here to take our money and bang our women.
Well, there's that. But that's just an actor's thing.
That's just what they do.
The point is that what has globalism done that's positive except make bigger companies bigger? What has it done? What has it done for the people, or for the creativity of the masses?
Well, you know what? I think this is it. The globalism is right here. You're listening to it. You're connected to it. The internet is the only globalism I believe in. And it's not really all that healthy, what we're seeing.
Yeah, and if you even look at our numbers seriously, and you look at who listens to the show, it's still 85% USA, and then the rest of it's divided up between.
You've seen numbers?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I do see numbers. I don't see numbers of people who are listening. I get numbers from the mailing list.
Ah, okay.
And I extrapolate.
Well, as I told you, when I was in Europe, last month, I realized, we really our media diet, our news diet here is so deprived that we wind up, and it spills over into all other countries. I mean, the headline news is what's going on here. It's Trump. And this won't last. We used to do a lot more European news, but a lot of the European news is Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty pathetic I will say, not to be insulting to any particular news show, that I have to get clips from Democracy Now!
Yeah, I know.
to get any sort of, and all she does is read the wires.
Yeah, I think you're single-handedly keeping them on the air with your viewership.
And it's like, but they still will report on stuff. I do have one last clip from them. I might as well get out of the way so we can wrap a little bit. But this is a Yemen update.
Ooh. Yes, something else rarely discussed.
Thursday's protest came as the head of a team of UN investigators accused Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates of interfering with his investigation. Kamel Jandoubi says all sides in Yemen's conflict have committed human rights abuses, with the U.S.-backed Saudi-led coalition responsible for war crimes, including widespread arbitrary detention, rape, torture, and the conscription of children as young as 8 years old.
Yeah. Where's all the protests for that?
Well, there was a protest. That's what she was reporting on, but there was no reporting on the protest. Because that's not what we want. Because it's not about Trump.
If there's no reporting on the protest, it didn't happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me see if I just had some OTG notes I'd taken here. This is. I've ordered the book. Jessica Powell. Have you ever run across her? She was. I think she was a big PR person at Google, and she wrote a book about how much bullshit is going on, and it's called The Big Disruption. Here, why I left my big fancy tech job and wrote a book, The Big Disruption. And she really highlights how they completely lost the plot, and all became savers of the world. Like, everything we do will just be to save the world, make the world a better place. We are the superheroes. It's the excerpts that she's posted on Medium seem pretty revealing. Very excited about reading this. Yeah. It's why I left my big fancy tech job and wrote a book, The Big Disruption. So I guess that's the title of the book. Jessica Powell. Facebook, which I have not been on since March.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, you should be. I'm proud of me. I feel much better too.
I bet you do.
So they had a 50 million user breach, and apparently they still can't reset all of the access tokens. And this is the big problem, is because this people use the FaceBag sign-in whenever they're on a website. Oh, just log in with the Facebook. Okay, you can. Usually it's Facebook or Google, or hopefully they have an option to register with your own email address, which has its own complications and issues.
Yeah, that's more common now. I mean, I remember like 3 years ago where it was
you couldn't sign in with
Facebook. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm not logging in with Facebook. I don't even have an account.
So that access token, which has been compromised for, I think, the majority or all of these 50 million users, I wouldn't know. Someone may have reactivated my account, and maybe Adam Curry. Who knows? I haven't looked, but it also gives you access to all other sites that you use the login for, and this is also not really being covered. I mean, it's just kind of like in a breath, but I think it's much more serious than your typical something happened. I mean, people have actual complete access tokens, authenticated login to all the sites that you logged in with Facebook. Hey.
Well, I would be. My opinion is if you would take that route and use Facebook for your logins, everything else, you deserve what you get.
Yes,
I'm callous.
Oh, I know what I had. The Alcatel flip phone Go.
Yeah,
has been on and is now at the very end of its battery since last Sunday.
Wow, and
connected.
Really?
Now, I have not used it. It's only been in standby mode, but it was standby for 7 days.
It'll take a call.
Yeah, it'll still take a call.
Huh?
Yeah, but it's down to the wire. I mean, the battery icon is pretty much empty, but it's still dialing. Yeah, it's working. Isn't that amazing? And by the way,
that's the way it used to be with these phones.
Yeah, every single time I mention a phone, I was like, it's like $39 on Amazon. Right after that, it's $59, it's $69. I am single-handedly raising the price of the Alcatel flip phone Go.
Should have a newsletter.
I should have a newsletter.
Put it in this newsletter, our newsletter, and they get a quick shot at it.
Oh, okay. So I'll relist some of my faves for the OTG lifestyle.
Yeah. Put a little segment. We'll put it in there.
Yes, excellent. Did you upgrade your Windows? I found out that's a bad idea.
To what?
Oh, they haven't. Their new release, their half-year release came out.
No, I didn't.
Their update.
I didn't notice.
Oh yeah, and immediately they had to pull it.
No, I didn't get one.
Yeah, you probably didn't get one because you probably have your update set to off like you should.
Generally, I do, and then they don't do them all at once.
Yeah, it's 1809, and they had to pull it because apparently some users were witnessing all their files being deleted. Oops.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness, that's not nice. Following up on our tracking of Tesla stock, in this case, based on fundamentals, such as the CEO is nuts. So we think it's going to be a perfect January 200 short. This is not advice. We're not in it, but it comes to us from the former New York banker. But there was interesting article someone sent me about why, and so part of his theory, which I think we both agree with, is he has the number one selling sedan, and there's only really two other sedans that you can purchase right now: the Impala and the Charger. And after this, these are all the fans. After this, there's not going to be any demand. And there's a number of theories about why people are buying SUVs and not buying sedans anymore. And subsequently, they're not being made. And one of the premier reasons seems to be the number of child safety seats you can get in the back, which would really be exactly two. And so these cars are just no longer big enough for your typical family. Now, when I read this, I thought, yeah, maybe, but seeing the way things
explain the dog phenomenon.
Well, this is exactly my point. I think SUVs, people have them because they're moving from babies to dogs, and the SUV you have the rear, the fifth door opener, so the dog can bound in or bound out. It's the way the commercial works. Hey, Fido. Click, click, poof, up goes.
There's room in the back.
Yeah, and the dog gets in the back. That's why
there's no trunk. It's actually the trunk is up in the car.
Yes, and that's where you put the doggy basket and his toys and his blankie and all the stuff. I think that is the main reason.
I like the theory.
It seems doable.
Yeah, that would account for the minivans too.
Totally. Now, the minivans actually are hot because of the price, because they're just so shit. The SUV.
We've had, I think we've gone through 10 of these things.
Yeah, exactly. They're shit. They break.
No, they're not. We had one minivan.
Wouldn't one just be enough if they were great?
We still have. Well, after a while, it's like you want something newer.
You said you had 10 of them.
We probably had 4 or 5.
Okay,
but we had one that was 360,000 miles were put on that thing.
Whoa!
Still runs like a truck.
Now do that in your drawl.
They're very smooth riding.
Do that in your drawl.
It's a fantastic invention. Unfortunately, only Chrysler seems to make the product right.
Yeah,
but now Chrysler got this. Now you got to tell you this story. Chrysler got sidetracked. So Mimi's got this Chrysler Town and Country. It's a fairly new car. It's fantastic. It's got radar. When you're driving along, if there's a car nearby, beep, 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 beep. You get a little noise so that you don't turn into somebody. It's got all these features, cameras, radar.
John, I know that you're driving around in a 23-year-old Lexus, but this is kind of what people have these days. So, if you're surprised by it.
Okay, well, here's what I'm surprised by. So the battery starts going dead, and the computer decides that the car now really needs to be either taken in for a new battery or something. It's not going to first of all, it's not going to start. It's not going to give you any. It's going to start beeping if you try to do anything. And if you try to disable the beeping and beeping and beeping, by, like, for example, sticking your key into the ignition.
Yeah.
A clamp inside the ignition locks the key down.
Oh, nice. Shunk.
So you can't get the key out. And so there's this rigmarole she goes through. She's explaining it to me. The key won't come out. You need to do this. And the keys are coordinated. So if one key doesn't work, none of them work. You can't open the doors. You can't do anything. And so she finally gets the thing after a couple of days of misery, gets the thing so it is going to get the new battery. Everything's ready to go. The key comes out. Everything's ready. Tries to start it. It asks for her PIN number.
Which, of course, she never recalled ever creating.
No, it's a used car. So the original owner's PIN number.
Did she
we don't have it. It's not on the pink slip. It's not on the register. It's nowhere to be found. The company doesn't have it. The dealer doesn't know what it is. So you have this PIN number that shows. Why in the world does a car, any car being made today, require a PIN number for you to start your own damn car?
Did you try 0000?
They tried everything.
Well, this reminds me.
This is ridiculous, this kind of thing. And this is what they're doing. The Glock. I mean, this is a minivan. Who's going to steal a minivan?
Hey, man, chicks dig that shit, bro. This reminds me of Elise, who has a Prius, but which she has an 80. Not 80. A 94 Prius, I believe. Almost 300,000 miles. Original battery. I'm very impressed with this vehicle, except when she had it here in the garage, when she was staying here during the summer, there's a smaller battery which activates the systems. You can't just flip on this huge battery and have it power everything. No, that comes from a very almost like a motorcycle battery, which is in the back of the car. Now, when that's not functioning, then you can't open up, nothing works. The clicker doesn't work, the remote. So you take the little key out of the key fob and then, you can open the door. But the battery is in a compartment in the back of the car, which you can get to if the trunk is open, but the trunk has no keyhole that can only be activated by the remote switch, which of course doesn't work because the batteries. But you can climb over the seat. If your arm is long enough, you can go. You're blind. You do this blind. You have to watch YouTube videos, and then you can kind of hook your arm under, and there's a little wire. And if you're lucky, you can flip that and then click. Then the boot will open or the trunk will open. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's total insanity how some of these things are thought out.
Yeah, well,
but not quite like the
older
PIN
cars.
number.
Mechanical cars are the best cars.
Yeah. Well, keep that Lexus running, boy, I'll tell you.
It runs like a top.
Yeah.
It's 25 years old.
Runs like a top.
It runs like a top.
Speaking of tops, I got no way to make the transition, but it's not going too well with our top director. There it is. Ben Affleck. And I didn't know this about Ben, but he has an alcoholism problem.
This morning, a Hollywood A-lister is seeking help. Ben Affleck confirmed to be back in rehab following struggles with alcohol addiction. A source close to Affleck saying, quote, "One crucial aspect of Ben's recovery is for him to be able to seek help when he feels as though he is not in control, when his ongoing treatment and meetings with sober coaches aren't quite enough."
Holy crap. If he's at that stage where his meetings and his coaches are not enough, he needs someone to physically stop him, I think. This is a serious problem. And this is apparently the third time he's been in rehab. I didn't know anything about this.
Adding, the best case scenario is for him to seek help, which he has done willingly. And for that, we are all very grateful and hopeful. In a decorated career full of Hollywood blockbusters, Affleck's next role, getting healthy.
Steph, as you mentioned, Ben Affleck has been in rehab before. Has he talked about his battle with addiction?
The last time he got out in March 2017, and he was very open about it on his Facebook page. He wrote, "I have completed treatment for alcohol addiction, something I've dealt with in the past and will continue to confront." He wrote, "I want to live life to the fullest and be the best father I can be. I want my kids to know there is no shame in getting help when you need it." And it sounds like he needs it again, guys.
So this was just your typical Hollywood story, and they kind of fluff over it. The guy has a serious, serious addiction problem. And what I'm missing from this network broadcast, I believe it's the Today Show, and this used to happen when you did a story like this, and now they just turned into this slow, well, he's seeking help. Oh, we're all pulling for you, Ben. Meanwhile, in finance, they don't give a shit about him. But they used to say things like, hey, if you think that you have a problem with alcohol or you may be battling some demons, here's a number to call or here's a website to go to. Why doesn't that happen anymore? Why has it just been turned into this Hollywood goo story where it's an actual opportunity. People may be thinking about themselves.
Oh, you make a good point.
Not that I have any number ready for you while doing this segment. But maybe someone will now think about it. They didn't even mention that. Hey, there's lots of places you can go if you think you have a problem. In fact, I think that most of our listeners have an alcohol problem.
No, they don't.
Have you ever seen Chris Wilson from Australia?
Well, he's all Australians do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Common.
What am I thinking?
Crazy.
What am I thinking? Instead, we don't like to drink alcohol here on the No Agenda Show. No, we like to drink cockroach insecticide.
LaCroix's parent company is being sued for allegedly using the cockroach insecticide linalool as an ingredient in their beverages. The sparkling water brand says they use all natural ingredients, but customer Lenore Rice claims otherwise. CBS Philadelphia reports Rice had the drink tested, revealing it contains synthetic ingredients as identified by the Food and Drug Administration. According to the claims, some of the other chemicals include limonene, which is known to cause kidney toxicity, and linalool propionate, a chemical used to treat cancer. The lawsuit claims that LaCroix makers are aware of the alleged unnatural ingredients. However, in a statement, LaCroix's parent company Natural Beverages denied the allegations, saying all essences contained in LaCroix are certified by our suppliers to be 100% natural.
This is just a hit piece.
Yeah? How does
LaCroix is a problem for a lot of these beverage makers.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's the number, it's the kind of millennial
drink
of choice.
It's the hipster water. Absolutely.
It's the hipster water.
Mm-hmm.
And they're selling by the tons. They don't know what to do about it.
How does it get in there?
I don't know that it is. It could be bull crap. I'd like to see some documentation for this accusation.
Yeah. That was the first thing I thought.
Doubt this story is true.
Yeah, it was the first thing I thought as well. But also, it has to be resolved pretty quickly because this is elite water. Elitists drink this water. And
you can get the LaCroix plain, no flavored.
Oh, okay.
Kind of get through this horrible moment.
Because
the one that seems to be the most popular is the grapefruit.
Honestly, I've never had the ones with the flavor.
The grapefruit is remarkably good.
You've had some cockroach insecticide?
Apparently. Maybe that's why there's no cockroaches crawling all over me.
Well, I think the problem is if this cockroach insecticide is really in there, the elites, who of course are reptiles, are having an issue with it. So they have to get this.
Maybe that's in there for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
It could be to kill the reptiles amongst us.
All right. Let's do one more, John. Get us out of here.
I got one that's from I like to play because it's so funny.
Okay.
This is and it's not depressing like the ones I have left over. It's from the last show, and you have to look it up. It's called Stitch Fix. And Stitch Fix is a company that they were profiling on one of the business, Bloomberg News, I believe. And this girl, I'm listening to this, and it's like a CEO or the spokesperson is just a dimwit that says really, 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 really all the time. And it's just, to me, is like the high tech is another indicator to me that the whole thing's about to collapse.
At first glance, Stitch Fix is a fashion company, but it seems that it's actually more of a data company. You really use data science to do a tremendous amount. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, data is the new bacon.
Absolutely. So on the surface, we're a personal styling company. Mm-hmm. So a client signs up and lets us know her general size and style preferences, and she'll schedule a date to get a Stitch Fix. And that Stitch Fix is curated by a real human stylist, but the data is a really, really important part of what we do. And so our stylist, when she's making selections for you, she has at her fingertips world-class algorithms that were developed by our 40-plus data engineers and a team that's led by the guy who used to run all of algorithms and analytics at Netflix. And what they're able to do is to generate really, really great recommendations so that when a stylist is making selections for you, she can do so with really great data, knowing that this shift dress is going to be great for somebody with your shape. Or she may choose to send you something that the algorithm wouldn't have known to send you because you let her know I'm going to Hawaii next week. And that's information that she can interpret differently.
And it's like Pandora in that it learns what you like and
Absolutely.
And suggests based on...
Exactly. And there's a lot of interesting analogies to Pandora. And so when a client is signing up and letting us know their preferences, that's kind of like the client side of it. On the product side, we gather data on every single attribute of all of the clothing that we bring in. So we know that at the end of the day, it's not necessarily fabrication or color that is the most important attribute. It's actually how is it going to fit on people of different body shapes, and how is it going to work with people who have different styles. So all of that we code up front the same way somebody at Pandora, a music expert in Pandora, would code music.
Stop the hammering!
My goodness. Yeah, take it. Last, I can't believe it. Clip of the day. I don't think that's ever happened that you got a clip of the day at the end of the show. No, I think it's well deserved. It was perfect way.
Because I found a chatterbox who says really, really all the time.
No, you showed us the actual tipping point, the nexus of when the tech industry started to implode upon itself.
Yeah,
it's like WTC 7.
It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Hey, good job. I'm depressed about tech now.
Good. It's about time.
Go play with my shitty 1809 install on Windows. I got translucent boxes on my screen. It's a long story. All right, everybody.
Sounds like a fix is in.
There's a fix is coming for sure. That's it for this episode of the best podcast in the universe, your No Agenda show. A value for value model where we've built a network over the past 11 years where everybody gets out what they put into it, and we're proud of it. I'm coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, here, FEMA Region 6 on the governmental maps, in the 5x9 Cludio, in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos!
Space Force!
Donate to a No Agenda. They give ushers week after week. Donate to a No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to a No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to a No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
I don't know if anybody is listening to the Dr. Blasey Ford testimony about Brett Kavanaugh, but this is how I sound.
Level 2, exercise increased caution.
Level 2, exercise increased caution. More American households have pets than children.
I think a good part of the American public would just as soon be part of a global government that's run by somebody in Brussels.
Exercise increased caution.
I know it's a surprise to even me that I talk this way, and I'm a doctor and a grown woman. I sound like I'm still back at that high school party.
A child in the U.S. is more likely to have a pet than a live-in father. That is sad.
They just as soon as be a big global, happy-go-lucky, world-governed thing, and we're all going to be fine for it.
That is sad.
Half of Great Britain thinks it's fine to let the Belgians tell us what to do.
Woohoo! Every country's going downhill.
I can't help it. I just have this kind of a voice, like a baby, even though I'm a doctor and I'm on this media circus.
Well, we knew that.
I think a good part of the American public would just as soon be part of a global government that's run by somebody in Brussels. But I'm an old fart, apparently.
I think most of those people have disengaged. They just disengage and they just someone else take care of it, and they really don't care. More American households have pets than children.
That's true. Dogs like SUVs.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.